Morning, everybody. See what we got here. Morning, Gig. Good morning, Donald Knight. Dave, how are you? Did you all catch that? Or did I say it all before it went live? I don't know. It don't matter. Good morning, guys. Another wonderful day. Tough night, little sleep. Good morning, Jody. How are you today? It's good to see you. Oh, man. Good to see you, Dave, man. Thanks. Cindy, hello there. It's good to see you this morning. I had to talk to Dad's nurse yesterday. Giving him a shot every hour and stuff, man. It was wearing me out. I couldn't do it. So uh ended up midnight I give him his pain medicine and I squirted the morphine stuff, and then again I don't do it again until 4 o'clock or so when I get up to start this. And that helped a little bit because I was sore dragging. I know that. What is today? Tuesday? Yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? I have some work I got to get done today. Hopefully everything goes smooth and I can get it done. It's going to be late. It was due today, but I ain't going to have it done till evening time probably. A smart man would get up and start it now instead of doing this, but I've never been accused of that, so I deserve to have some chill time too. It's the only time it's quiet right now. You'll know when mom wakes up, you'll hear the TV turn up, and I'll have to go there and turn it back down. We had snow yesterday morning, man. Are you kidding me? For about 15 minutes or so, it snowed so hard you couldn't see. I couldn't see out the end of the back of the yard out there. A little guy, he was kind of freaked out by it. And then the second time he went out, he was into it. Where Tilly, the big dog, she's like, "Oh no, man, I've seen this stuff before. It's not going to happen today." And I had to encourage her to go out, so to speak. And then Butter come over from next door, the big dog, and they both went out, and all three of them was running around in the snow. It was kind of funny. I should videotape that stuff sometime. Oh, oh. Boy, we can't start that, or you may have this show from my bed. One of them where you watch the guy sleep kind of thing. I better put my phone down here because it's messing with me. I can see it a few seconds later. Hey, Nate, how are you, buddy? You had some snow up there, didn't you? It's cold, and I forget the guy's name. I just started watching his channel the other day. He's from down there where Hooks and Hammocks is from. He's a good guy. He started working seconds, I think it was, and he goes out fishing in the morning, and it it had to be cold where he's at yesterday because that wind was howling, and he was out there fishing. I'd give him props. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. Jody, I love naps. I'm not gonna lie, I just don't get them that often right now. I tried to get one yesterday, uh, from about noon to 4, I think it was. Because at 12, I give Dad his pain pills, and then Gig, I got one that's like that. The little guy was like that at first, and I was like, dude, man. So I started going out with him with an umbrella, and then after a few times, I was like, dude, you're going out. And I just pushed him out the door, and he stands on the porch and looks at me. I just turn my back, and he finally goes and uses the bathroom. But at first, he'd go in and he would poop next to the cat litter box. I put the good. I put them puppy pad things around where the cat litter box is, and he would go in there and poop on them. So I decided that's cool. It's a fair trade off, dude. I'm not ready for snow. I know that. I was kind of bummed last week because it was warm, and any other time I'd have been able to go fishing a couple of days, for a few hours. But not right now. What happened with Dad is he couldn't sleep last Wednesday night, I think it was. So he took some NyQuil. I told him, don't do that. That's not a good idea. Well, then he slept almost all day Thursday, and I didn't wake him up to give him any pain medicine. This is before we started the every hour thing. And when he finally got up, he was just in intense pain, and I couldn't get it under control with the medicine we had. So that's how we ended up out the hospital. And it ain't been the same since. Yeah, Jody, I agree. I'm not going to poop. I'm not even going to go out and pee in the rain now that you think about it. For Tilly, she's just used to it. I actually got her trained to stop when she comes in so I can wipe her feet off. The little guy hasn't quite grasped that one yet. And I unhooked the little. I have to put him on a little cable when he goes out because he's a wanderer. He likes to wander around to the neighbor's yard across the street. Let's see what happens on Tuesdays. Is there any shows on tonight? I got a thing on my other computer that's got a list of them that Troy made, and I use it because I can't never remember what shows are on and what shows when. I don't know. You'd think after a year or so I'd remember what day what happens. Captain Morgan, good morning. I missed you. Oh, there you are. Hey man, I'm sorry I missed you coming in. I have got one Red Bull in me almost. I think I got up a little after 4 and went in and woke Dad up and just give him the squirt medicine. I didn't make him get up and take a pain pill. I probably should have, but I wouldn't be in here right now if I did because we'd still be in there messing around trying to get him to do it. Because he wakes up and sits up on the edge of the bed. He had him in pain pills, and he hands them back to me and says, well, I better go pee first. And that's a 15-minute ordeal. Then he comes back in and give him 2 pain pills and takes one at a time and takes a little sip of water. And I'm like, dude, you've got to take a big drink, Pop. Take a big drink and turn your head back. It'll go down. But he was doing better yesterday. He got up and what he said, I want some breakfast. And I was like, well, I got some Pop Tarts. I'm trying to do it. I got some Raisin Bran. No, I said, all right. So I got about an egg and some toast. Yeah, that'll work. Which I knew that's what he would say, but I was trying not to do that. Hey Nate, did you get some snow up there like yesterday morning? I think y'all probably got it about the same time we did, or a little bit before. Hey Skywalker, good morning, buddy. It's good to see you. I tried to find your live thing where you do the sports thing last night, and I couldn't find it. I didn't know if you go live every night doing that or what. And then, heck, I didn't get down to the gas station get Red Bull till it was midnight or so again last night. And now they're getting, well, it's good to see you again at midnight. I'm like, no, it's not. Maybe it's good for you, but it's not for me. Captain Morgan, how are you? Used to be one of my favorite drinks. Oh, those are recorded? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. I had no idea. I thought you done those live. That would be why I didn't see you live last night. Because I got an alarm set for 11 p.m. my time, and it says Skywalker for some reason. I don't know why. So I thought maybe you done a live or something. Yeah, and it's funny. It snowed so hard you couldn't see, and then I don't know, maybe 20 minutes later, the sun come out and melted most of it. It's like, thank God. He changes his dew every week. It's California, man. They got to stay up with the fashions. Hey Skywalker, when are you guys gonna close on your house? That's a really big thing. That's one of the biggest things you do in life is buy your house if you're able, if you're blessed enough to get one. I was lucky because I was a vet and I didn't know anything about vet benefits or nothing. I never paid attention when I got out of service. And then I wanted to buy a house. And I remembered that, the VA done that or whatever, and I looked into it. And heck, I could buy one without a down payment. I was like, oh crap, I could have bought one years ago. Mid January. Okay. That's cool. It takes a while to finally get to closing. You got most people get approved before they, go looking for a house. So I'm pretty sure y'all done that. And then you got to accept the offer, have the inspection, the appraisal. If there's anything wrong in the inspection, then you guys got to bargain about how you're going to do it. Either, you know, include the cash to get it done in your closing, or are you are you kidding me? $7,000, dude! I ain't seen $7,000 in 10 years. That would literally ruin me. Oh, you're kidding me, man. Your bank gonna you got like that? There's what is it, like an insurance thing or whatever you can get through the bank that covers stuff like that from happening. That if it happens, that they investigate and whatever, and you get your money back. I forget what it's called. We're always laughed at if anyone took the time to hack into my stuff, they'd feel so sorry for me that they'd put money in my account. There are upsides to struggling through life sometimes. I, before my divorce and all the crap that happened in life, I could walk in my credit union and just sign my name and get a check for $10,000. It wasn't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they are. See, you got to bank local, man. Bank with someone. Credit union is the way to go. If you can get in a credit union, that's always the best. We belonged to a little credit union that was the Chevrolet factory and then Delco credit union, that they were combined. And then now all the factories are gone, but the credit unions are still here. Well, heck, of course they're going to fight you on it. What am I thinking? I didn't hear nothing last night. DK. Oh, Stan was on whatever show was the bait shop last night or whatever, and I can't remember what they said. If it had another surgery or something, I don't remember. I've been kind of scatterbrained the last couple of days, so. But I know that his PayPal had surpassed enough that Daryl's gonna have to burn his purple pimp hat, which the first live I ever seen when I found the catfish community or whatever, and Daryl was live, and John Oiler, Big Mike, and someone else, and Daryl and John Oiler, even though they weren't fishing together, they both had pimp hats on. I'm like, the heck did I stumble across right here? Oh, did they send it? They fixed his hip. Mm. Boy, that's got to be a painful injury. There's this guy named Malcolm Smith, dirt bike racing dude. A movie come out in the '70s called On Any Sunday. It started the dirt bike revolution in the United States, and he was in it. And he owns a place in Colorado, and the guy's a legend in dirt bike racing. But he owns this place in Colorado, and he invites dealers, like the parts guy or whatever from dealerships around the country. They have a ride every fall there, and they go ride for 2 or 3 days or whatever. And I guess when you go riding out there in Colorado, you're miles and miles back in the mountains from anybody. Well, this guy's like 70 some years old, breaks his hip 50 some miles from home out in the woods and rode his motorcycle back to the house through the woods. That's a bad man. I don't care who you are. I spoke with Stan last night, who spoke to Sean yesterday. And he told me things are about the same. That's all I have. Okay, thanks, Whiskers. Yeah, he spoke with Stan last night, who spoke with Sean. I'm assuming it's his wife. You know what? I'm worried about his boy. And the other night I said, I put on, pray for his son because being autistic like that, anything that a disruption in the typical flow of the day or whatever, so to speak, sometimes it can be really hard on him. And then his dad not being there, it could and his wife too, because it's got to be hard on her. Oh, Kelly's his wife. Okay, thanks. I don't know much about it. I don't have time right now to pay attention to stuff like that. But I was thinking about his son. I was like, oh man, that's that because having my ex used to drive the school bus for the special needs people at the school in the town we lived in, and they were real real funny about the same thing every day, where when they got on the bus, each kid had a seat they sat in, and that was their seat, and you never changed it. Skywalker, if you need a character reference, you have him call me. I'll tell him you're a good guy and you deserve your money back. Quit fighting him on it. And they'll listen to me, believe me. I'm a real estate appraiser, by gosh. Yak Shore, good morning. Yeah, I pray a blanket pray over the catfish community every night too. That hey hillbilly, how are you, buddy? Because this is a community made up of good people, and so I try to make sure everybody gets covered in it. Poor mom, she was so worried yesterday because I was a little tired. I'm not gonna lie, a little wore out from 3 days of 24-hour a day stuff or whatever, and she was got upset and she was worried about well, I worry about you too, and I'm like, don't worry about me, man. God promises He'll never give you more than you can handle. So if you put faith in that, you're fine. And I know dirt bike racing all them years, we didn't race like you see on TV where all the big jumps and stuff. We raced cross country through the woods. And the shortest race we done was 2 hours. And some were 3 hours, and then some of them were 6 hours. They're called the enduro, like 100 miles through the woods. And I always remember I used to reach a point in every race where I'd just be exhausted, and I'd have to ask myself if I could keep going. I mean, come on, man, can you keep going? It's real easy to hit the road here and just take the road back. And I'd always keep going because I'd know the next day I'd wake up and be like, man, dude, I can't believe you quit. Because that was like a cardinal sin with my dad and all his buddies back in the 60s, broken hip, you ride it back to the truck, so to speak. Kind of like one of them comic throwbacks, wasn't it? But I look now and I'm glad for that because it gives me the perseverance to even if you've only had 2 hours of sleep or whatever, you just keep going and you do what you're supposed to do. And sometimes life lessons you learn years ago pay dividends as you get older. But I'm a little too old to be learning new lessons, I think. Yak, where are you going fishing at, Yak? I'm sorry, I missed that. That is good news. God bless you, man. I wish I could go. Like I said, last week would have been a good one here. It was 50 degrees a couple of days. And one day I walked out and there wasn't no wind blowing. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Man, it would be perfect day of probably the best day for the rest of the year, you know. And heck, I didn't even get to go to church last night. My group people that I meet with every Monday, we have a recovery group at the church that meets because, and it's not just for recovering people. It's for family members that have loved ones that are either addicted or were addicted in the past or whatever. It's kind of a support mechanism thing. And I didn't get to go last night, but a couple of people texted me to ask me if everything was all right. Where you going fishing at, Yak? You got to tell us. You can't just say I'm gonna go fishing and leave it at that. That ain't fair. I need to get some work done today, though. Actually, I scheduled an appraisal inspection today, and I ain't heard back from the realtor yet. So, so I can't go do the inspection until I hear from them. Which I sent the Linden people an email yesterday. Today I haven't heard back from these people yet. Your due date's getting ready to get moved out. And Skywalker's going through it right now as far as buying a house. Everything's got a timeline. Hey, good morning, Catfish Dog. How are you, buddy? And there's a set date on your interest rate. There, you set a date for closing and stuff, and then like this, for instance, the realtor not getting back with me can throw that closing date out an extra few days or something. And sometimes it can affect their interest rate and everything. So if I'm the one selling the house, I'd probably not be real happy with my realtor not getting back with the appraiser so they could get because they can't do nothing until they get the value. Respect my authority. I got authority. That one's for you, dog. I know you're a South Park fan. I'm a South Park fan too. All right, hold on. I gotta put my cam down for a minute. Gotta go get a Red Bull. Red Bull number 2. Hey, Skywalker, imagine that thing with that money coming up missing. That's going to affect your loan, isn't it, for your house? So then you got to wonder if that didn't have something to do with all the back and forth information back and forth between bank and things like that. If maybe that doesn't have something to do with how someone got into your account. You want to go out, buddy? Huh? Come on. I let you out, Joe. Wait on your friend. Come on, little guy. Let's go. You got to go out. You got to go outside. Daddy gets it does. on, man. There you go. Easy. Slow down a little bit. There we go. All right, Teal, you just bark when you're ready to come back in, honey, okay? Burger. Yeah, that was a chilling experience. That's cold on the toes, man. D, good morning, D. It's really nice to see you today. Jiving and listening. Don't be texting and jiving. They write tickets for that these days. You may end up hitting somebody. Oh, too soon? Probably. My fishing pole should be here today. It goes with that little reel. I'm stoked. Yeah, ejector seat. Yeah, man, Chris, dude, if you spend as many hours in a chair as I do, there's a lot of times it's basically my office. You know what I mean? And I can spend hours here. Because the the hardest part of my job, seeing the house and all that stuff's the easy part. It's the market research stuff you got to do when you're doing the appraisal. You've got to be finding the numbers. I got lucky to get that gig, man. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say lucky. It was all God's doing. 20 years ago, he knew where I'd be at, I think. I don't think I know. So he set it up where I'd be able to be here. Because honestly, I think about it a lot. I don't know what I'd be doing, or how I'd be handling what's going on, man. My parents basically would have to be in a nursing home. And up until a few months ago, they were both, healthy enough that would have sucked. Somebody's tapping on the door. Okay, buddy. That didn't take long. Kind of cold out there, was it, guys? Yes, sir. No, I don't blame you. Hold on. This is done a treat this morning. So don't be trying to play me for extra one later. I know how you are. Here, we'll give you cookies today. How's that sound? We're getting low on treats. There you go, little man. Go on, Dummy. Can't go tilt you, honey. He's a good girl. He is. Oh, okay. Yeah, Yak usually goes live when he goes fishing down. He usually goes live when he's driving there, if I remember correctly. Catfish Dog, he's at work. I guess I ruined the thing for anybody coming up on my lives by booting Avid and the other guy the other day, but I'm sorry it happens. I was doing my best. And you can't ask no more than that for anybody. What was that, Till? Did you hear it? Okay, I did too. I got to keep a watch on the time. Right, let me see here. Okay, 5:30. I think we're good till 6. At 6, I'll have to close my camera and stuff for a few minutes and go give Dad some medicine. And this is this pain pill time, so it'll take me about 20 now, probably 20 minutes or so, I reckon. I did get a new dirt bike magazine in the mail. NJ, hey buddy, how are you, man? It is so good to see you. Everybody in this community misses you, man. I want you to know that. Seriously, just so you know, man, you're thought of a lot. But I understand too, sometimes you just got to take a break and get away from it. I think for me, if it ever become where there was drama, I'm done. I mean, I'd sit around in the background and watch him, but I would no longer, partake in activity of it, I don't think. And that happens for some people. Which sometimes You got to remember it is just fishing. You know what I mean? It's really, in the scheme of the world, it's not that important. It's fun and it's a great hobby. For some people, I suppose it's a profession, but for me, it'll always be a hobby. And there's no need to have hard feelings towards anyone over fishing. Now, of course, if you take my money because you beat me, I'll probably never talk to you again. But I'm kidding. I got no money, so I ain't betting nothing. That, and I got probably the worst catfishing area in the Midwest, I'd say, right here where I'm at. It's not known for its catfish producing areas. Yeah, sure. Everybody should do this once or twice to see how hard it is and get a whole new respect for what, you know, Hogleg and them do, because their show runs pretty smooth. I know, Gig, you're the exception to the rule. You do it for a living, and you do it with a rod and reel, which makes it that much more impressive. But there are worse ways to make a living. When I first got out of the Army, I was an electrician for a company kid I played hockey with and stuff. His dad owned an electrician company. We wired new apartments and stuff like that. And I got laid off, so my mom worked at the local newspaper in advertising, and she done all the politicians' ads. So she had connections and got me a job at the sanitation department one time for the spring and part of the summer. And if you ever ride on the back of a garbage truck in the summertime when it's hot, you'll appreciate any job you have the rest of your life, believe me. It will definitely motivate you to do something with your life. NJ, brother, I'm glad you did, man. I'm telling you, we miss you. I miss you, man. You still got my number. Don't forget. You can reach out anytime, man. How's your dad doing? I hope he's doing okay. Good morning, Jimmy. How are you today? I wish I could see the little avatar things better. I just can't see them very well. It is on just my laptop too, though, because I know if I Chromecast it to my TV sometimes when I'm watching a live tournament on Sunday or Saturday or Sundays or something. Then I'm like, oh, that's what his avatar is. I see. Which I'm getting ready to redo all mine this year. It's been 2 years. It's all been the same, so it's about time. I'm gonna have to wait and get with Hogleg or Bobcat because now that he's getting better and getting back to work. Because that's where I got my stickers from, and you pay a little bit more, but I'm telling you, they're quality, and I like quality, any day. That and helping out a small businessman. It's like them ancient mariner reels. I had no idea that some guy over in Jersey started a company and made fishing reels. I didn't know that, and from now on, that's what I'll buy just to support a local small businessman. Because somebody told me I was a small businessman. I never thought of it that way. I just thought it was me having a job. And I'm sure that I probably, tax wise and stuff like that, I probably lose a lot of money because I don't have an accountant or nothing like that. But before the real estate crash, I would have used one because I made good money then. But after the real estate crash and things changed so much, I don't make as much money as I did. That and the, the opioid habit had a lot to do with that too. To be honest with you, it's a horrible job to have to be a drug addict because you don't have to ever see nobody. You don't have to go into a job. You don't have to talk to no one. Basically, it's all through email, and So you could sit at home totally out of it for days on end and nobody'd ever know, and you're still making money. And it was the perfect storm for me, I know that. And if it bothers anyone that I talk about that stuff openly, the addiction and stuff, I only do it because you never know of the 17 people that are in there or whatever. You never know when one of them is actually living that problem alone, and it may give them, hope to reach out to somebody or something, I guess. So that's why I talk about stuff like that open. For one, I'm not ashamed of what happened in my life. It's just what happens, and it's like taking care of my parents. It's God doesn't burden you with more than you can handle. You don't always understand it, but you got to have faith, which is what I'm really working on. Uh, is the faith part. You got to have faith, and they talk about God wants you to be happy, and when you sit around and worry about stuff like that, and the Bible tell you that to trust Him, give it to Him, and not worry about it. But man, that sure is easy to say and hard to do. It is for me anyway. But here in the last month or two, I've had to rely on that one. And as bad as that problem is in America, I honestly think there is not. I don't think there's a family in the United States that hasn't been affected by that in some way. It's either someone someone you're related to, or something. Everyone, I think, is as bad as that problem is. Everyone in this country has been affected by it, I think, one way or another. I can't wait for my fishing pole to get here. It was supposed to be here Sunday. I'm like a little kid, man. It don't take much to make me happy. I had to go dig out my I got one of them little things that hold your spool of fishing line, so it clamps on your desk and you can spool your line. So I have to go dig that out today if I get a chance. So I think I got enough line in that pack of string. I only use 4-pound test on for like my bluegill rods. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know there was a 2-pound test. I guess but I wouldn't trust that for anything because John's a prime example. He's sitting there catching more catfish than he was crappie the other day, and sometimes we would be fishing with crickets even, and I've caught channel cat in the strip pits fishing with crickets, and I got to thinking, man, there's some hungry channel cat if they're eating crickets. Let's see, I ain't missed nobody. Yeah, the first day or so, this is pretty easy, but day number 2, you kind of like, shoot, I don't know what to talk about. Oh, no, night it's a little rod. It's a little yellow eagle claw rod. It's only about 5 foot long for bluegill because I like it. You catch a big bluegill, it's like fighting a channel cat on a big pole. And then I got this cool little mini bait caster to put on it because I didn't know if they made them or not. But it's a little bitty bait caster reel. Isn't that cool? I just think it's neat as all get out. And I don't even know if it'll work good or not. If it doesn't, then I'll set it on my shelf on my desk. But I thought it was cool. Hey, look down here. Who's this guy down here?
Hey, man.
Hey, morning, Coach. How are you? It's so good to see you.
What's up? What's up with Hog Leg and Melissa? They taking a break?
Yeah, they took the week off for Christmas,
Okay.
and I told them I'd try to come in a couple days. Dad's having some issues, so I just the days I can get in, I will. And so far, I made it Monday and Tuesday. We'll see.
Okay.
I just play it by ear. How you been?
Oh, just knocking right along.
I like that about you.
Just hanging in there.
I like it. That's about all we can do these days. If you can afford to put some food on the table right now, you're ahead.
Well, I agree with that.
I couldn't imagine having any kids right now, young kids or teenagers trying to feed them.
I know.
I couldn't imagine. Let alone if they played sports, you'd have to try to get shoes every sport, fall, summer, and spring. And I know at least gas is coming down. Thank God it's election year.
Yeah.
It was 250 something I seen yesterday by my house.
Well, it's getting close to election.
That's why I said, yeah, it's election year, of course. That's what I always used to laugh about. People like, oh man, gas is real low. I said, yeah, they want you to vote for them. Of course it is.
That's
You
all.
watch.
Good morning, Dave and Gig and Chris M. Who else? Yeah. Rhonda, I think. Good morning.
Are you in the kitchen still?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm fixing them. Yep. I can't see chat now. I can't see the screen if I would look at chat on this telephone for some reason.
Oh, you're on the phone. You're not on your laptop. Yep.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen trying to
Yeah.
keep from waking Kay up.
Oh, okay.
She got
Yeah, that wouldn't go over well.
she gotta go get a little make my living.
Yeah, it ain't a bad way to have it.
I don't want to make her mad.
I agree. She'd throw you out and go make a living for herself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't after this
Yeah,
I don't know if she'd throw me out or not.
Now, after so many years, they pretty much get used to you, and the last thing they want to do is get rid of you. They may grumble at you every day, but they still want you around.
24 hours a day.
Yeah. I'll sit here and listen to mom and dad sitting there and talking sometime. They've been married 61 years, 62 years, thereabout. And I'll listen to them talk about, the old times back when they were young and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of neat to see. Hey, good morning, John. It's neat to see two people who've been together that long, you know, sit and laugh and share stories. She's having a hard time with what's going on with Dad right now because he had about 2 days in a row. He had what I call them dementia spells, where he gets where he's kind of talking gibberish and
Mm.
you know lights on but nobody's home kind of thing, and she's having a real hard time with it.
Well, yeah, I'm telling you, I guess all of us gonna have to play that song sometime, but I don't know.
I always figured I'd go out on racing a dirt bike or something before I got that old. I hope. I don't want to. I don't want to be like that. I watched my grandmother go through dementia. Now I'm watching my dad do it, and I don't want it to happen.
How old is your dad?
He's 85 or
Mm.
86. I forget because he just had a birthday. But most of my life growing up, when I was a kid, he lied about how old he was. He was 40 for God knows how many years. I used to laugh like on his birthday. How old are you, Dad? I'm 40. Well, he was 40 last year. We had this conversation.
There you go. Yeah, one of my old friends yesterday. I go to a dentist and back close to my hometown, and I ran into one of my buddies up there that's exactly my same age, and man, he slided his feet, and I don't know, man, he just looked old, and I
Yep.
acted old.
Yep.
And I was watching myself as I was moving around, and I was doing a lot better than he's doing.
Yeah, that's what me and Dad used to talk about up until just this last year or so. He was in his 80s and he was out mowing grass and doing stuff. And
Yeah.
Heck, I come home one day, he had to be 80, I'm sure. And I come home one day and he was changing the brakes on the Buick. I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? I told you I was doing that when I got home. And I don't mind him doing that, but he's real bad about not putting a jack stand underneath the car. And that's
Oh,
my number one pet peeve. If you're working on something, you block the wheel and put jack stands under it.
yeah, buddy.
Well, when I was a kid, this old guy that he was working underneath his motorhome, and it slipped off the jack stands or the wheel chocks or something, and the motorhome fell down on him and killed him. I never
Oh,
forgot it.
yeah, that's it. That's
Yep.
it. Happen.
Every time I work on something, I went and bought you could set a semi on the jack stands I got.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, you don't wanna use old cheap ones. You want to use good
um,
ones.
nope. You could be the one laying under there trying to breathe when the car falls. I miss working on, we've always fixed our own stuff, but now it's got to the point where you can't hardly do it no more.
Well, it's all computerized.
Yep, yep. And if you mess with one thing, then the computer gets out of whack. One gets me is the sensors. You get a check engine light come on. I got one of them ODB reader things, but it's probably outdated now. But you plug it in and it would pop three codes and tell you it was sensor A, B, or C.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always went with the fact that I'd go to the parts store and I'd start with the cheapest sensor and work my way up.
Yeah.
And then some of them, they're tucked back in there. And you're like, why on earth they put all these? The damn government make you put all these sensors and stuff on there, and that's all it is, government.
Yeah, some pencil pushers.
Oh, fishing fever, good to see you, buddy. Yep, I keep saying I'm going to track me down an old vehicle that's still got points and condensers and stuff like that. A distributor cap.
Yeah, old 57 Chevrolet.
Yep, I was thinking 70s Chevy pickup myself with a little straight six 3-speed on the column. ain't
Yeah,
ain't fastest motor, but it'll last you a lifetime.
get you a 49 or a 48, 49, 50 Ford truck. Those are,
Yep.
those are cool old trucks.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, and you remember them probably is before my time, but Dad always talks, and I've seen a few on flathead motors that they had in cars back in the day.
Mm-hmm. That's what they had in them, the
Is
flathead.
that what it was? Yeah, those are cool.
But what happened to all of them around here? And I bet the same thing happened up there in your part of the world. The dirt track racers used them,
Yep. Yep. Well, that and they rust apart up here because of the winter time.
and they just all of a sudden disappeared down here. You just
Yep.
couldn't find a flathead engine. They
And
used
then
transmissions. They did something to the transmissions. They changed the gears around or something. And I had two of those trucks coming through. I paid $91 for the first one.
I had a little Datsun station wagon back years ago when me and Mitzi first got together. I paid $150 for it.
Yeah,
And I loved that little car. It'd run on fumes for a week, it seemed like. You put $5-6 in the gas tank and drive it for a week. Coach's first car was a foot powered like the Flintstones. That got small water charger said.
yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, I missed and it's the same thing. Like you said, it seemed to me like at one time there was Camaros and Firebirds and stuff around everywhere, and then all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, man, what happened to all these good old cars back in the day? Every now and then you'll see, especially in the springtime when the guys been working and stuff, redoing their old cars all winter, and spring
Mm-hmm.
comes, they're ready to get them out and drive them around a little bit. And then they go back in the garage and you don't see them again.
Jay Leno bought them all up.
Yeah, boy, you ain't lying. His motorcycle collection is just me being a motorcycle guy. I could go there to his place and spend a month just reading about every one of them. And the part is like the motorcycles. Like I seen the antique guy or whatever was there one time, and he not only buys these vintage bikes, but he knows them. You know what I mean? He knows the history of them, and
Right.
He has some that just like an aerial square four or something. My brother used to talk about them that they were ahead of their time technology wise, and you know, I just seen one the other day, and I forget what he bought one of each model of this bike from Europe, made in England, I think, or something years ago. But you know, at least and every one of them he has runs, and you know, he can ride them and use them.
Right.
I did laugh though. They went to try to start one. They turned the gas on and went to kick it over, and gas come running out of the carburetor. He's like, "I better have so and so get on that one and see what's going on here."
Right.
No, but he went over to the next one and it fired right up. My brother used to have a shovel head, man, and it had an electric starter and a kick starter on it. And this guy built it. It was pretty powerful stroke motor. But it got to a point starter what worked no more without compression release in the heads, and you had to kick this thing, man. And I'm telling you, you
Yeah.
better bring your big boy pants if you're going to kick that big shovel head motor over.
Yeah.
This was back in the probably 90s or whatever. It was stroked out 110 cubes, I think it was. And that was big for back then. You know, nowadays it ain't nothing to get an S&S motor like that.
Well, have you ever ridden on one of them old Harley 74s?
Flatheads or knuckles?
Oh man, I don't know. Just Harley 74 is all I know.
74 cubic inches. Yeah, I think it could have been the panhead. Come think of it, because I think the flatheads were only 40 something cubes, and then they went from the flathead to the knuckle to the pan, and then the shovel. It may have been the shovel head. I don't know.
Well, the 74s were cruising bikes. They was all
Yeah,
they rode better than any car on the
yeah.
market at the time.
I know a guy had a chopper at home, and it was an 80 cubic inch flathead motor, which some people would argue, well, they didn't make an 80 cubic inch flathead because they were all 40 cubes or something like that. Well, this guy had taken the motor out of one of the mill carts from back in the day, and it was an 80 cubic inch flathead come out of a mill cart, and had put it in a chopper. We used to be big on all that stuff, and then I laughed. My brother got so mad back in the day when everybody started buying Harleys and stuff. He'd call them credit card bikers. Yeah, damn credit card bikers out here don't know nothing about a Harley, but they'll buy every darn part you can bolt onto them. Never took one apart. He'd just go off on them.
I carried a half a gallon of sauerkraut to a farmer friend of mine. Last Thursday, I think it was.
Half a gallon of sauerkraut. Well, you don't want to break that.
And I carried it to his house. He met me at his house out on the farm, and sitting right there under his carport, up close to his back door, was a big Harley. And I didn't start the conversation on it, but I knew he had one. But this is from back this is an older one. I mean, this ain't no, late model
Yeah.
one, the old one. But he had it in the carport right up next to the back door.
I bet.
It was a good looking bike.
And a buddy of the family had a completely original. It was a pan, I think. It's panhead. And he had taken it down to the shop because there's a bunch of little local shops around here that aren't authorized Harley dealers or whatever. It's been 25 years ago or whatever. And they took it down there because it sat back in the back of the garage for years. And he had it, and he had an old, it was about a 1972 shovel, electric glide. But he took that old panhead. It might have been a knuckle. I can't remember. Anyway, he takes his shop out of this guy. He said, hey, man, I want you to go through and get this running, cleaned up a little bit or whatever. Said the guy called him 2 days later. Said, man, you got to come get this bike. He said, I'm afraid to leave it here in this shop. Everybody and their cousin come in looking at it.
There you go.
He said, I'm afraid I'll come in someday and there'll be a hole in the wall and it'll be gone.
Yeah, I think that's the reason Neil had his up against the back door.
Oh, I guarantee it. I know bike clubs notorious. They take 4 great big dudes and 2 big thick metal bars and slide them through the wheels, and 2 guys on each side pick them up and carry them away.
And they're gone in minutes, in seconds.
Yeah. And then a buddy of mine, he's a Harley mechanic, and he was talking about out on the West Coast or whatever, they had one of them box panel trucks, like a van front with the square in the back. And
Right.
well, they had it cut out behind you where the door went down, and you could raise the door up and flip this gate up, and you could back it over the bike, flip the door down and the gate down, and had a chain hoist and lift the bike up inside the truck and drive off.
Yeah, buddy.
This ain't Sons of Anarchy bug. Exactly, John.
Yeah.
That stuff cracks me up. I can't watch stuff like that, John. I'm with you, man. It just, yeah, yeah. There's stuff like that cracks me up. The biker movies or biker series or whatever. Oh shoot, I gotta keep an eye on the time here. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta go give Dad some medicine.
Okay. Well, Skywalker, I see where earlier where you somebody borrowed some of your money out of your savings account. That's a pain when that happens. We had an ordeal. I don't know. It's been 10, 15 years ago. We received a bill from Cabela's for $2,200, and well, we didn't actually receive the bill. The UPS manager called me here at the house one afternoon and wanted to know if I had ordered anything from Cabela's recently. And I told him, no, I had never ordered anything from Cabela's. And he said, well, we got a shipment here with your name on it, but a different address here in town. And listen now, I know this sounds strange, but the UPS manager lives one door across the street from me. And he's from the same little old town, well, 10 miles away that I'm from. And I visited with him before. I didn't know him when he lived in that town, but we visited on the street out there. And he talked about his little town, and I knew a lot of people in that. It's not a very big place. I don't know, 700-800 people. And he saw that name on there, but it didn't have the street name as the delivery place. So he called me, which I thought was pretty up to snuff for somebody to really give a dang. But it turned out that there was somebody. You can't do it now, but then if you called Cabela's on the telephone, you could sign up for a account number, and it automatically qualified you for $7,000 in product. That's all you had to do. You call them, you give them a social security number and a mailing address, name and a mailing address, and on the telephone. Now, this is over the telephone. You give them a mailing address, a social security number, and you automatically qualify for $7,000 in credit to buy something from them. And somebody, I don't know, somebody around here figured that out, and they called Cabela's and got them $7,000 worth of credit on this account. But they had I don't know what, I don't really know a bank account number, a routing number, and all of that. And Cabela's wasn't checking nothing. Because wasn't none of it any good except the person's name that they used. Well, we got a bank account. We got money in the bank, and so I guess the Bellas. I don't know what they did or didn't do, but anyway, they done sent me. Well, I had bought $2,100, almost $2,200 worth of shirts, Cabela shirts. Well, we got the police involved, and come to find out, a lady right up the street here. I don't know the lady, but she lives up here 7, 8 houses. They had sent her a bill for $2,700, $2,700 for muzzleloader pistols and muzzleloader shotguns and muzzleloader rifles that she had bought. And she was older than I am. I mean, lived by herself. I mean, she ain't ordered nothing. And there was a third one, but I never did get any information on the third one. Well, I was coaching and teaching school at the time. It took me 2 or 3 months to convince Cabela's that I wasn't going to pay no bill. I didn't order nothing from Cabela's. And I ended up talking and they had based in Omaha, Nebraska. And over those period of months, I ended up talking to as far up in the credit department as you could go. And they thought I was going to pay for that stuff. And I told them, I couldn't, they wouldn't believe that I didn't order it. But you got to be careful. And these scammers, they're everywhere.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. Good morning, Lee Evans.
Hey,
Oh,
look,
shoot. What the heck did I do there? Hold on.
I just wondered who in the world would order $2,000 worth of T-shirts.
Someone that was going to sell them in flea markets.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I looked up the address that they had given. The UPS man gave me the address that they were going to be shipped to. And I looked that address up and went to that house. I rode by it. I didn't stop and knock on the door, but I went by it. But in the phone book, it was an Adams. It was an Adams. And I got a policeman friend, and
Good guess.
I gave him the address, and he checked on it just because he could. And that gentleman, now he was black. He was a black guy, but that gentleman was 73 years old, and he did. I bet you he didn't even know what Cabela's was.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But they were using me to pay for it and him to get it, and they was gonna get it off his. They were watching his house. See?
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
all they was gonna do was go over and get the package when they delivered it.
Yeah. Hey, Stephen, how are you, buddy? And it just get me mad because I had ended up having to fix Dad's phone where he couldn't do anything because I walked by, he'd be on the telephone talking to somebody, getting him his address. I'm Pop, hold on, who in the hell are you talking to? And I'd take the phone from him and be somebody trying to scam him into something. And I keep telling Pop, if you don't know that person and they ain't never sit on your couch, don't talk to them and don't give them any information.
Oh boy, they'll scam old folks.
Oh, and I'm telling, I've seen it happen a bunch of times with Pop, and I'd get so mad. And I'd tell him, dude, you better hope I ain't never be able to find out where you live and what you're doing, because I guarantee I'll come to your house. It's probably some dude over in India or something anyway,
Right.
But, and then we had to take his debit card from him because one day he ordered something and he didn't think the order went through, so he ordered it 2 other times. It's like $87 pop. and 3 of them showed up at the house. And fortunately, I called the people. I forget what it was. It might have been some fishing stuff or something. But anyway, I called the people on the phone. I said, "Hey, man, here's what happened. My dad's 82 years old, and he went to order this, and he hit the button twice or 3 times, and they were good, and they just had me send them back to them. They said they'd credit everything back when I sent, and they sent me a label and everything, so I had documentation. But
That's
not every company's going to do that.
no.
Well, I was telling them that I ordered a fishing pole through Walmart the other day, last week. It's supposed to come on Sunday. Well, I get an email on Saturday saying it's been delayed and it's not going to be here on Sunday. So I I log on to get in there and find out. Oh well, they got some people, I don't know, in Jersey or something filling an order. Almost like eBay kind of thing.
Right.
I had no idea they'd done that. I'm smoking cigarettes, but I ain't got my camera on. But
Well, I'm chewing the
so
butt.
I ended up on the customer care people with Walmart telling them, "Hey, I didn't order anything from nobody in New Jersey." So I pulled their account up thing on Walmart's webpage or whatever. They had 15 1-star ratings from people who never got their stuff.
There you go.
And so they had a place where you can contact the seller or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that went over real good. Yeah, in fact, I got a response from them yesterday. Give me some lame excuse about the warehouse where they get it or it's closed for inventory or something. And I said, yeah, that's what 14 of them 15 reviews said too.
That's right.
Yeah, I might have called them some bad names and hack ass sellers from New Jersey or something like that. Sorry, NJ. But and then Jody was telling me that there's a thing you can click on Walmart's website where it only comes from Walmart. And I'm like, well, that should be in great big giant letters at the top. That
Yeah. So,
you are ordering something from, Amazon does a lot of that now.
Amazon does. Oh God, look at the world of it.
The only thing I always click Amazon Prime because I got an Amazon Prime account. And everything I get's from Prime, and every single thing I buy, I use PayPal. And then that way, what I done with this one here, I just went to PayPal and sent them a copy of the chat log with the Walmart people and said I want my money back. And in a half hour, PayPal had my money back to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Walmart and them get to deal with PayPal instead of me.
Well, that's one thing. Now, I used to do a lot of business on eBay, and that's one thing about eBay. If you got hooked up with a bad seller, man, they get your money back ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did me, and this was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. Hogleg used to do that, didn't he? Sell a lot of stuff on eBay.
Yeah, well, we sold a lot of stuff on eBay, but I bought a lot of stuff too. I bought all my fishing reels and all of
Oh
those.
man, I discovered vintage dirt bike racing gear on eBay. Yeah, and then having a competitive nature, I'd be bidding on something and somebody'd bid over me, and I'd take it personal. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you right now, I don't care how much I got to pay. I'm just going to prove a point. This is mine.
Yeah, you got more back.
Until my girlfriend pointed out to me, that could be someone related to the seller just running that price up on you.
Well, sure.
They can see you're a competitive person and take it personal. So I had to quit buying. I mean, dude, I bought everything I ever wanted when I was a kid, dirt bike racing. You'd see these guys in all this fancy gear, and I'd be out here in a pair of jeans and boots, And we didn't have that money, but we went racing. And I used to laugh because Dad and his friends said, that gear don't make him go no faster. It just makes him look better not going fast. So I bought everything I ever wanted from back in that day, and I got boxes full of stuff that I don't need that I paid way too much money for.
Yeah, you sound like my wife get mad. That sniping, they call it.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, about the last 10, 15 seconds of the
yeah.
Sit there and watch the clock.
Yep, I've done that too.
And then right there at the last, you put in that bid, when
Yep.
you first start off on eBay, most people don't know that. They don't understand that part of auctions. And my wife would be sitting there watching something she bought, and that thing click down and get about Boom, somebody else to buy it. She get mad as hell, man.
Yep. But I did. I'd think you was bidding against me, and man, I'd get mad as all get out. And I would. She'd hear me in there. My girlfriend hear me in there yelling at the computer. You MFer, you ain't. I told you I wanted this, and I'm buying it. I don't. You how high? And I'd even be like, how high you want to go? You know. I bought a vintage Jaffa rock guard. It's like shoulder pads and chest protector stuff goes under your jersey.
Yeah.
For $185. The starting bid on it was $25.
You ran it on up there. Somebody did. Huh?
Yep. But it was the first one I ever wore. It was a friend of mine had it and let me wear it one race, and I always wanted one after that, but I couldn't afford one, so I was getting me a Jaffa rock guard to wear. And the first race I wore it under my jersey, I realized why they quit using them and went to the vintage ones, because it was so hot I couldn't hardly breathe. And it's hanging up on a hanger in the closet.
Well, I learned right quick that the eBay auction was just like an auction out on the farm, you know.
Yep.
And I've been to 1,000 of them, and I bought a lot of equipment at auctions. But it's different when you're in person, you know, because you know who's bidding against you. And you can look at them and tell how high they're going to go, you know?
Yeah, I can see that.
And or get an idea sometimes, not all the time. And so I caught on real quick that online auctions like that wasn't no different than being in person. You just got to know what you'll pay for something and wait till at the end and then pay it. And if the other fellow wants it, you know, he'll go on and overbid you. And so he got it. I mean, you can't get personal when you at an auction. You got to know what you'll pay for something and stop when it gets there.
Yeah, well, and that was the key. I needed to set a price and say I wouldn't go above this. But like you said, you can't let it get personal.
No.
Well, I would. But I've been that way my whole life, dirt bike racing, playing basketball. It didn't matter. I'd hate to lose.
Well, they back when I was farming, I needed a chisel plow. So I set out that winter. I started early in first track sales around, and I was going to every one of them trying to buy me a chisel plow. I had to have the right size, you know, for the equipment I had, the tractors I had. So I had done spent about six days going all around the country to farm auctions. And I realized what the price was going to be that you was going to have to pay for one of these chisel plows. So I read the newspaper, the publications there, and there was one that it was about 70 miles from here, and there was two of them in the sale. So that morning I got up and I went to the sale, and those chisel plows in those days was selling anywhere from $850 to $1,100. So, and they start to bid off at $300, $350, you know, something like that. So they finally get to the first chisel plow, and they start to bid at $350, and I bid $900.
just let them know I'm buying that today, and it don't matter how high you want to go. I want this, and it's mine.
I was standing by the stick man, we call him. You know, they got 2 or 3 people out in the crowd, you know, watching the people that are going to bid out in the crowd, you know, not just up on the microphone. And I was standing by one of them stick man, and they said, "Oh, give me $350. And I told the man, I said $900. And so,
I wonder how many people was cussing you that day. But see, that'd be me too. If I want it, I'm buying it. I don't care what I got to pay for it. I'm over that. If I want it, I'm buying it.
Well, I was tired of riding around. I was tired of getting up and traveling, you know, trying to buy one.
Yep.
And so the stick man, you know, they got all these hand signals that they use to tell the auctioneer what the bid is. So he put that stick under his arm, They actually carried a little old stick with him. He put that stick under his arm and went to doing all them hand signals. And that fellow said, "Who'll give me $9.50?" And
See, that's why I don't need to go down. I see them auctions in the back of the little trader magazine and stuff all the time. And there's a lot of the farm auctions goes on anymore. And I see him and think, man, dude, you really don't need to go to that, you know. But when I got into the dirt bike gear, you know, my son was raised, he'd done left the house, and I had the money. It was my money, and I was the only one that had to worry about it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There wasn't no wife to answer to or anything. I bought what I wanted. And now I can't sell, and ain't none of it going to sell for anything near what I paid for it. But it ain't for sale anyway.
there you go.
And it's like the only thing I got from my brother is an old vintage BSA dealer sign. And I lived over in Noblesville. It's kind of an upscale community over there. And when I'd have my garage door up working on my dirt bike, you could see that BSA sign hanging on the wall. And I don't know how many times people stop and ask me if I want to sell it.
There you go. Yeah, that's a hot item for collectors.
Yep, that ain't for sale. Actually, I seen one of the picker guys, the skinny guy, tall skinny guy, pickers or whatever. They was in his shop. There's one on the wall behind his counter. His is all nice and fancy though. Mine's kind of beat up looking. You know, it looks all old and original from 1973. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's the only thing I got from my brother, and it ain't for sale.
I got another auction story. Back in the early 70s, I was farming, and this buddy of mine, he farmed, and he was gonna buy him a new combine, or another. He's gonna buy him another combine, and so the auction papers, and he wanted a certain combine. And it was a John Deere combine, a 105. That's what it was, a 105. And he kept watching, and well, we was all watching the auction papers for him. You know, I lived in a small town, and everybody knew everybody's business. And so at Cotton Plant, Arkansas, and that was 2 hours, 2.5 hours from where I lived. And this was back before 4-lane. Yeah, wasn't but one 4-lane in Mississippi, and that's Interstate 55. And Howard said, "Yeah, that's the one. I bet that's the one I buy." And so that morning we got up real early, and me and 2 or 3 of us rode up there with Howard. He had a cashier's check for $10,500 from the bank. He was gonna buy that combine. And the big items like that are way towards the end of the auction. You know, they don't sell the tractors and the combine and the cotton pickers till late in the auction, unless they junkers or something. They might sell old junk, something for parts. But anyway, it's getting time for that combine. And old Howard goes over to the combine and climbs up on the ladder and gets in the cab of it because he's gonna buy the combine. They opened the bid at $11,000.
Be like, yo, Steve, can I borrow $5,000 real quick? Warren barbecue.
A whip puppy and having to get down off that cab in front of all them people.
Oh man, that's priceless. I wonder if someone knew.
They opened the bid at 11,000 and got it right away too. I don't know, the combine sold for like 12,500, 12,500.
Oh yeah, see, I can't. The only thing I wanted to go to some of them farm auctions because a lot of them, when all the factories closed here, they sold stuff off. Well, in the factories they had bench vices. It starts with a W. I can't think of the name of it. But these really nice bench vices. You can't. I mean, if you buy them new, they're like $400 or $500, and a lot of the farms had those. They
Right.
got them from guys that got them out of the factories when the factory closed.
That's right.
And that's you go there to buy stuff like that or tools, things like that. And I could never buy no big dollar items or nothing, but you can get some like a set of cutting torches or something, for instance.
You're right.
Things like that most of the people ain't there to buy stuff like that. Like you said, they're there to buy the big items. Because most of the farm auctions here, you see, they got 2 or 3 pickup trucks, some old cars, and farm equipment.
Boat, 3 or 4 boats. Yeah, Howard.
Yeah, John, they have one small water. They have one here. Actually, it just went off last month, and all summer long that lot fills up with. And this is heavy equipment like graders and backhoes and stuff like that. And they just had that auction. Actually, it's 2 weeks ago. I drove by there. They was getting ready to have it. And yeah, it fills up all summer. And then they have a big sign that auction on this day. And you can't drive down the highway. Cars parked on both sides of the road. It's huge. And then they have one over in another town that sells semis and stuff like that. And then they got one on the west side of Indy that's all repossessed cars, but you got to have a dealer's license to go to it.
You got to have a used car license to buy them.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I had a pickup truck sitting in one of them one time.
My neighbor right here, but that's a scheduled auction. They have it 2 or 3 times a year, probably once a month or something. Isn't it?
What's that? The repo cars? Yeah, it's a huge lot too. I mean, yeah, they have it at least once a month.
Yeah, my neighbor next door, he had his used car license, and he didn't use it to buy and sell cars. He used it to buy his own personal vehicle.
Yeah.
And he bought one from Indianapolis one time.
Yeah.
He went
what I wanted to do.
Him and his buddy went all the way up. His brother-in-law, that's actual used car dealer.
Yeah.
They rode up to Indianapolis, and he bought I'm trying to remember, he bought his wife a car. But these were like new vehicles, man.
Mm-hmm.
They never drove a new vehicle, but you would never know it by looking at the vehicle.
Yeah. I remember the Phil Donahue show years ago. Well, I remember I was home from school sick one day, and there was not only 3 channels on TV back then, but the Phil Donahue show was on, and he had these 3 millionaires on there. And back then, millionaire was something,
Right.
And they all had the same thing in common. None of them had ever bought a new car.
Mm-hmm.
Said that's the stupidest investment you can make. Said the minute you drive it off the lot, you lost money.
Yeah, 10%, I think it is.
Yep. And that's what he said. Now, if I went to you and said, back then a new car was like $15,000 with a good car, he said, if I came to you and said, give me $15,000, and I turn around and walk out of my yard and you just lost 10% of that $15,000, would you do that? So, heck no, you wouldn't. So what? It's the same thing when you buy a car.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. We ain't old. We remember Phil Donahue. He had that stuff going on way before Oprah and them. I always thought he was from local. I didn't know he was national until I got older. Yeah, exactly, John. Same thing with a boat, man. Anything big like that you buy brand new, the minute you drive away with it, you've lost money. And most of them, and the millionaire guys, most of them said they didn't buy nothing that wasn't at least 5 years old, or at least three to 5 years old. They'd been on leases. And if you lease a vehicle, you got to keep them in pretty good shape.
Kay and I got into that deal there for several years, buying lease vehicles we had a friend that was a car dealer. And in fact, our first vehicle other than a regular car was a van, a Ford Eddie Bauer edition.
Yep.
Van.
Yeah.
And David called me, and he knew I was looking for a vehicle, and we were going to buy. She liked Fords in them days, and we were going to buy her a Ford, and we had 2 or 3. And he called me one day, and we was, I guess you say we was drinking buddies, so we was kind of partners. And he was telling me about this deal that they had come up with, where they had done bought a bunch of vehicles from Houston, Texas, that were, these wasn't leases like the me and you. These were corporate leases.
Yep.
I think is what the word he used, corporate leases.
Terry B.
And anyway, they had done bought 15 of these vans out there in Texas. And he said, man, these things are cream puffs. He said, you ought to come over here and bring Kay over here and look at them. She might want to get one of these things. So I went over there. I didn't say anything to her. I went over there and I drove one of them down the road. Man, I like that thing. So I went back home, told Kay about it, and she said, well, I'll drive one of them. And I called David and told him we'll be back over there tomorrow evening when she gets off work, and I get off work, and she wants to drive one of them. So we did. In fact, she drove 3 of them, and she picked one of them out. We bought one of them. Man, that was one of the best vehicles we ever owned. That thing lasts forever.
My little Ford Escape I got, if the sun's at the right angle, you can see on the back quarter panel there's a PS and something. And I looked it up. It was an insurance adjuster's car. Yeah. An insurance company in New Jersey. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it had 100 and some thousand miles on it, but I only paid $2,500 for it, and it was literally spotless inside and out. Mm-hmm. And it's got 200 and some thousand miles on it. I still drive it because I hate car payments. I bought, it wasn't new. It was 2 years old, a little Chevy Extreme pickup truck. The black one. The only reason I bought it is because it's set real low and I could load my dirt bike by myself with it. I couldn't load my dirt bike in a regular truck. That one there had the ground effects. It set real low so I could load my bike. And that was the only reason I bought that specific truck. But, it's nice to have something kind of new like that or whatever for the first 3 or 4 months of writing that payment every month. But then about the 4th year, you're still making that payment every month. And you're like, man, you got to be kidding me. So I promised that wasn't never going to happen again. And especially doing what I do, because I drive a lot to go see houses, and you put a lot of miles on a vehicle. And so I just save up money until I can afford, once you get above $3,000 or $4,000, you get into the nicer used vehicles, and always buy them from people. I'll never buy them off a dealer shop or anything like that, Yeah. You can look online now. You find plenty of people who got them sitting in their front yard for sale that, and they put them on. Well, it used to be Craigslist. I guess the big thing now is Facebook Marketplace or something like that. I don't know, but
CarMax
or something. Yeah, I would, and I'd go buy my car. The first one I bought like that I loved was a 91 Isuzu Rodeo. And I'm telling you, dude, that thing was a tank. I was going to change the fluid in the differential and stuff up in the front, and it had a big skid plate under it. Well, I had a Chevy Blazer, and you drop skid plate off it, it's like plastic or something. It just come right off, right? Mm-hmm. I pulled that last bolt out of that skid plate underneath that Isuzu Rodeo, and it was about 1/2 inch steel, and it dropped on my chest. I'm laying under the truck, like, geez, are you kidding me? And that thing was a tank. And I drove it until it wouldn't run no more, and then I bought another one that looked exactly like it. The only difference, the other one I bought was a year newer, and it had the automatic 4-wheel drive lock as opposed to the manual lockouts that you got out and turn the thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I wish I'd still had the original one was a manual shift, and the second one was automatic. But and the only reason you could drive that thing through anything, because I pulled a dirt bike trailer going racing. A lot of times you're going through plowed cornfields and shit to get to the pits and stuff. I'm sorry.
It was early morning, huh?
Yeah, that's all right. If there's kids watching my show, you ain't a very good parent.
When I had that old country store, the farmers hung out in there in the afternoons. You know how the farmers drink beer in the evening. But anyway, during the daytime, one of them pulled up out there, and I was sitting out front. And wasn't nothing going on. I was sitting out in front of the store when Dan pulled up, and And he got out of the truck and walked around, gonna go in and get him a Coca-Cola. And I said, "Man, your truck sure is clean." And I walked over and looked in the window. I said, "Boy, they did a good job cleaning your truck up." He said, "Yes," and that he called some of his hands up there that worked on the farm. Said they know how to they know how to fix it, clean a vehicle. Some of his, some of his workers. And we went on in the store and he got his stuff. He said, "Look, man," he said, he said, "That's a new truck. I just went over yonder to there was a, there was a dealer over here that gave the farmers a really good deal. He sold all the farmers Chevrolet trucks. I mean, all the farmers bought from him, and he I don't know 30 miles east of here, but they all liked him, and he took care of the farmers. So he had all the farm truck business from miles around. He said, "I went over there and traded and got me got a new truck." I said, "Damn, it looks just like your old truck." He said, "Well, the other one was 3 years old or whatever, and they ain't changed body styles and nothing." Anyway, he said, "Don't say nothing about it." And I said, "I won't." So late that afternoon, all of them started drifting in because he was the first one there. About 5:15. And there's a place here in town called Ugly Duckling, and they detail vehicles. Okay. And this one old boy come in and he said, "Hey, Dan, boy, that truck, you sure got it polished up." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I carried it over to Ugly Duckling and had them detail it." Yeah. They sure did a good job. He went out there. He went back outside and looked in the window. Dan had the truck locked with the windows up where he couldn't, because he'd known it if he'd opened the door. It was a new truck. He looked. Oh, he had put his hands up and was looking all in the truck. And I was sitting there. I said, I could see it coming, man. I knew what was going to happen. So Mac walked on back in the store and got his Coors Light and standing there drinking. A minute, he said, "Dan," said, "how much it cost you to get that truck detailed? Because a farm truck gets nasty quick out in them old dusty turn roads.
Yeah.
You know how they are." And Dan said, $125. He said, 120. Is that all? He said, "Yeah." He said, "They even took the seats out of it and cleaned up under the back." back. He said, "Man, they did a hell of a job." Oh, Max said, "Well, that sounds like, man, I need to get my truck cleaned up, man." So, so
There's a place like that over here over in the hood, man.
wait a
Oh, I'm sorry.
minute. So 2 days later, and Dan was the first one in the store the next day too. And Mac came in and he didn't say anything. He did everything was normal. We hung around there and they 7, 8 of them there, and they went home and I went home. And the next afternoon, Mac walked in and he was red as a beet, boy. He was mad as hell. He walked over at Dan. He said, "Man," said, "you lying SOB." He said, "I dropped my truck off there yesterday over at Ugly Duckling and got my old farm truck. And nobody noticed that he wasn't in his truck the day before." He said, "I went up there and picked that damn thing up this morning. You know what they charged me?" He said, "How much?" He said, $500.
Hey, good morning, Parker. $500.
I just dropped it off and told him, "Give me the works, give me the full detail." And I got in the truck. Somebody, one of the other guys came and picked him up. "I want the works." He didn't ask how much it's going. He thought it was
Woo.
Lord, I couldn't laugh though, because I hated to see that boy spend that kind of had to spend
Yeah, no
money.
doubt.
But Dan done pulled one over on him, boy.
Well, Dad had to have his Buick Enclave a couple years ago, and I'd tell him, Papa, let me find a vehicle for you. I'll take care of it. I know people. Nope, I found the one I want. No, Pop, we ain't gonna go no dealer and buy a used car. Yep, that's the one I want. All right, I told him that's what he ended up buying $11,000 or something for this car. We finally got it paid down right now to about $2,000, and I'm gonna take it in the hood here. There's a place they detail cars at. It's about $175 actually to get it done right. You know what I mean? And they have a scale like 50, 100, $175 as they get in and shampoo seats and everything. This one's got leather in it, but I'm gonna get it all cleaned up and I'm gonna sell it, pay it off, and use the money plus my escape and trade in and get me something else. But I tried. I'm telling you, I told him don't buy that car, and I don't know how this works, but okay, it's got a sunroof and it's got 4 drains in the sunroof. It's got a trough around it up under in the hood there, okay, or the roof, and it's got 4 drains in it. Runs down and drains out underneath the car. That tells me the people who designed this car designed it knowing the roof was going to leak. How in the hell do you design a car that you know the roof's going to leak and it passed through the people that do quality control stuff? Well, the 2 drains in the front got clogged up, and I got online and read about it. And when it rained and those was clogged up, what happened? It overflowed and run down through the inside. I was just livid. You can't really get grumpy at Daddy's old, but I was like, there's about an inch worth of water in the floorboard of that nice new car you had to have. And so we took it over to the dealership, and they charged $100 to go in and clean them lines out. And I looked it up online, and to do it right, you got to remove a bunch of stuff and get in there where you can actually get in and run all the way down through it. They basically got in there and put some air blow through that hose.
Blew air through.
And it had evidently their dirt in the work. It wasn't 6 months later, it clogged again.
Yeah, well, that's a fault.
But the 2 drains in the back are open. So I had to park it on a couple car ramps if it's going to rain, so it drains to the back and doesn't fill in. And I just been sitting here waiting because it sits out there. I don't drive it very often. I just been waiting on them to get that paid down enough where I could sell it. And the only good thing about it, it's got low miles. I think it's only got like 130,000 miles on it and it's old. It's like maybe 2011 or something like that, so it ain't got a lot of miles on it. It's got to be worth at least $5,000 or $6,000, I'd say.
Yeah. Dan told Mac that first day. Yeah, they even steam clean the engine, wash all up on the truck. They really.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they do. They really do a good job.
Orange had
$125.
$500. I'd have been livid.
Shit, he was.
I bet he was. For one, I'd have freaked out when they told me the price at the shop. I'd have been like, wait, you ain't got that posted nowhere on here, And the lesson learned, you should probably ask before you say, give me the works.
He just believed in his friend. And his truck wasn't no dirtier than Dan's, It's going to be $125. Boy, that was funny, man. Oh, gosh. I felt sorry for him, though, but hell, he got plenty of money.
Yeah, he can afford it. You farmers is rolling in cash.
And not me, but them. But, yeah, that was about good as it gets. But they was constantly pulling stunts on each other.
Yeah.
You know how that's the farming community. That's just that they good at.
And like most of it's good natured stuff. 2012 Ford Explorer 4. That's a good buy, Jody. $105K. That ain't bad. Global warming. Yeah, come up this way, John. We ain't had snow for I don't know how long. We ain't had a winter time up here the last 10 years that I can think of, which I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. If this is global warming, I'm okay with it.
God can keep one at a time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. believe me, if I had the chance, I'd never see snow again in my life. I'd go down south for the winter and come back up here in the summer, but I ain't got that opportunity. Because with appraising, there's some places, some states have reciprocity where you can go, like I could go to Florida, for instance, and apply for a license and pay the fee, and they honor the one in Indiana. So all I got to do is pay the fee, and I'm licensed in Florida to be an appraiser.
Right.
So I could go down there in the wintertime and work as an appraiser and rent a little place a couple blocks off the beach for $1,000 a month or something.
I ain't lost nothing in Florida.
Well, I go down there and live close to the beach for the winter. I'd be happy. But then again, nowadays you got to get down southern Florida, and that ain't for me.
The only thing Florida offers that they don't offer right here where I live is them chartreuse bikinis.
Yep. All right, Parker, I'm with you, dude. I hated working in the snow. When I was a system tech in the cable industry, the only time the cable messed up would be in the wintertime when it was freaking 0 degrees with 20-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah.
And it would always be an easement. It would never be one of them you could just pull your bucket truck up to and go up and work. You'd have to load everything on your belt and go back there and climb a telephone pole and fix something in the easement between houses. And I was like, man, I'm getting too old for this. And then I can't wear gloves if I'm working on something. So I'd have to get up on the pole and then I'd take my gloves off and stick them in my coat and then work on what I'm doing, stop, put my gloves on for a few minutes. And inevitably I would drop one of them gloves. I mean, that was a given.
Oh yeah.
So there I am, one hand with no glove. 29 in Ohio, 22. That's what we had yesterday, 922. It was cold and windy and it snowed. I looked out back and I'm telling you, it was snowing so hard I couldn't see the end of the back of the yard. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But then I had to throw little guy out because he hadn't never been in it just to see what he'd think. And he's out there for about 2 minutes, turned around, was scratching on the door to come back in, completely covered in snow.
There you go.
Yeah. Tilly was standing there looking out the door like, oh no, man, I've been in that stuff. It ain't no fun.
Well, you can have that.
A half hour later, the sun come out and melted it all. Figured that one.
We don't see a lot of snow here, and I sure am glad.
Yeah, me too. Believe me. I know last week it was 50 degrees. There was 3 days it was 50 degrees, and one of them days I walked out and there wasn't a lick of wind blowing, and I'm like, man, I could be fishing right now. Are you kidding me? And I couldn't go naturally, but boy, it would have been the ticket. Oh crap! I gotta write something down. Hold on, I'll be right back. I just remembered I didn't write down that medicine.
Bug got too much business. He got more business than a New York lawyer.
And I got a whiteboard, and I have to write down the times I give Pop his medicine, because otherwise I get confused.
There you go. That's
And
right.
I could give him his pills every 4 hours, but he gets this little syringe with liquid morphine in it every hour under the tongue. So I went out and bought a whiteboard because I would get confused and not remember, did I give it to him this hour? You know what I mean? So I make sure I write it down every time because I forget stuff.
He gets it every hour.
He gets the morphine every hour.
Oh, have mercy.
And he's got a fentanyl patch on his shoulder.
Mm.
Well, he was in the hospital Thursday night. And that lady hit him with a 0.5 milligram of Dilaudid, didn't even phase him.
Oh man,
That's some bad stuff right there. Anyone knows anything about pain medication, you get the Dilaudid, you know something's wrong. So then after they done the CT scan and everything and figured out that, it was basically his cancer was causing this pain. And she come in and told us she's going, he's going to send us home. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I figured we probably would. And I asked her, I said, hey, can you give him another shot of that before we go? So, it's about a 30-minute drive home. She said, yeah. She said, you know what? I'll go ahead and up it to 1 milligram. And didn't phase him.
Oh my goodness.
He was still in pain. So then I had the hospice people come, and we set up this. We got it right now. He's doing pretty good. He don't have no pain, but he gets a 0.5 or half a milligram of liquid morphine under the tongue every hour, and 2 oxy 10s every 4 hours plus the fentanyl. And they doubled the fentanyl patch last week.
Oh my goodness.
And it ain't gonna do nothing but get worse, man. That's the bad part. I was talking to the doctor, and what was he had prostate cancer and it metastasized to the bone. The first doctor never told me anything. He just said he had bone cancer to stage 4. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
probably why the guy ain't with that office no more. But the last time he was in the hospital, the guy explained to me what was going on is that prostate cancer historically grows really slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they diagnosed him with it 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And the doctor told him then, said, at your age, being 80, there's a good chance something else kills you before that does.
Right.
And he said, it's not, you don't want to go through chemo and all that stuff for that. It's just not worth it. And he had been through chemo. He'd beat colon cancer once before. And so now, since it's the same kind of cancer, but it went to the bones, it's slow growing. So you're going to be in this agonizing pain while it grows slow, and it could take, a year or two.
Oh,
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably eat the whole bottle of pills just to get it over with if God wouldn't get so mad at me for it. Because it's hard to watch. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's
And then,
gotta be tough on you and him too.
yeah, the early stages of dementia's coming in, and I don't know what happened yesterday. He just had a spell. One time we was sitting there talking fine, and 20 minutes later he's asking me if that guy come got that money yet. And I'm like, yeah, Pop, he came. If you're ever been with anyone that has that, you just play along. You don't try to
Yeah.
talk sense to them when they're in that state. And so, yeah, it's going to be a long, long year or two, I suppose. I don't know. But
That's
I had
tough.
to talk to the nurse. They had me doing it every hour. Well, I had my alarm set and I was waking up every hour in the night, get up, give him that liquid morphine. And, last pills at midnight and then at 4 a.m. After about 2 days of that, I'm like, I can't keep that pace up. There ain't no way, So I talked to her yesterday and I give him 2 pain pills at midnight and the morphine, and I get back up at 4 and start him again, and it seems to be working. Good
Yeah.
morning, Danny Stones. Good to see you this morning, buddy.
All right, Bub. Look, I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna start my day here in a few minutes.
All right, Coach. I appreciate you stopping in. I always love hear your stories. I
All
could listen to them all day.
right. Well, y'all have a good one and good
I
luck to
will. You be good today. Be safe.
see everybody.
See you guys. Parker, how are you, man? Danny Stone. I probably ought to go. Hello, Ashley Brady. I see you now because I can't keep up with chat when someone's in there because my brain don't function that well. So let me scroll up here and see who all I missed. I know I missed a bunch of you. I apologize. I ain't as good at this as Hogleg them are. They sure make it look easy. It's all I got to say. 29 degrees in Portland, Ohio. We got 922 Crappie Barbecue. Hello there. Jimmy Geiger, Chris M., Ashley Brady, Parker Pursuits. I did see Chad stop in a little bit ago. Hey, Chadwick, how are you? And I don't know who else. That's about all I got. Yeah, Coach is the best, man. You can sit and listen to his stories all day. I'd like to hear the baseball stories from when he was a baseball coach. I bet there's good ones. Most of them are probably not PG-13, though, I suppose. Friday at 3. I need to bookmark that, Parker. I'll be right back. Got one more Red Bull, and that's it for today. Okay, Terry B, man, good to see you, buddy. Sorry I didn't get to talk much when Coach was in, but I like to listen to Coach tell stories. There's an alarm. What that one was for. Wolf's Den, I'm sorry I didn't bring you up when Coach was in, but you just got to have Coach up and let him go sometimes. Because you never know where he's going to go. Yeah, how many you got to clean there, John? When you keep them overnight and clean them the next day, do you put them on ice? The Miami Vice thing. It's actually some strumming guitar thing. Take your meds. That's a good call, Uncle Lou. I probably should. But I can't stand an alarm that just goes off blaring and wakes you up. Hey, Kelly, how are you, buddy? You know what I mean? So I had to find something mellow that starts out real low and slowly gets louder. Or else I'm going to wake up grouchy and throw the phone across the floor. He does that, and Steven. He's the best, man. He's one of them guys you want to go fishing with and sit around all day and listen to him talk story. I do got to take my meds, Uncle Lou. How'd you know that? It's what, 7 a.m. now? That's about the right time I do it. And look at my list. I gave Pop pain pills and a shot at 6, so I'm not going to wake him up till 8 to do it again. Where's Fluff at? I missed her. She's one of my favorite human beings. There she is. Hey, Fluff, how are you? So good to see you. You working today, Kelly? You ain't got an inside line on none of them white Christmas nutty bars, do you? I found them once and I can't find them again. I can't remember where I got them at. Good morning, Lee. Catfish fever and outdoors. Good morning. You know, Uncle Lou, you're a wonderful human being because I won't. Now that you reminded me, I'm going to do this real quick and go get them. Oh, that's cool. I'll be sane the rest of the day now. Little Debbie went home for the holidays. Hey, don't you talk about little Debbie. She's my woman. What are prawns, Fluff? I'm not familiar with the term. Aren't those like shrimp or something? Or are they crawdads? Yeah, Chris M. Snow's great on Christmas Day, and then it can go away for the rest of the year. I mean, when I had kids and I was younger, I always dug it because I would get the dirt bike out and hook a sled on it and drag them around the neighborhood and out in the cornfields and stuff. Now, John, I know I missed you probably answered my question about what you do with your fish overnight before you, after you, if you don't clean them that night. Go back there and see if I can see where it's at. Okay, they hit the ice in the boat when caught and just leave them. Yeah, I found that with my bluegill and stuff, even if I'm going to clean them when I get done fishing, that like at the boat ramp when I load the boat, I'll take them out of the live well and put them in a cooler full of ice, and then by the time I get to the fish cleaning station, it firms the meat up and it makes them easier to flay. Oh, are they, Murillo? There's an eBay seller. Yeah, no doubt. Like trying to find one. But and they trick you on them Christmas ones because they're only one per wrapper on them. So you buy the box thinking you're gonna get a double pack, with each one, but nope, it's one individual one in each wrap, which I didn't like. Steve, if I had a basement, I'd already been there. I do get lucky though. I got a buddy. Oh, I'm sorry, Mississippi Life. I just seen you, man. I'm sorry. I'm new at all this, so I apologize.
That's okay. I figured you was reading the chat,
I,
and
exactly, I was actually, and then I
look
just
down
had
there
to
in the
look
basement.
over.
Good morning. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. Doing real good. Uh, Accept life for the cards we dealt, right? So I just play the hand, and I don't sweat it. I see now, John. Thank you for letting me know that. Uncle Lou, if you ain't had them, be careful. Buy two boxes instead of one because there's not that many in a box. I'm
You have
just
big
telling
plan.
you.
You have
Them
big
new,
plans for the holidays.
the white nutty bars, they're awesome.
Do you have
Nothing.
big plans?
What's that?
I was going to ask if you had big plans for the holidays.
Uh, I think Saturday, whatever day is Christmas Eve. My son and his wife and the kids are coming over, and my nephew and his wife and kids, and there's a pretty good sized evergreen tree out front, and I ordered a bunch of lights, and we're going to decorate that tree out there
Yeah, I hadn't
as a
put up a
family
tree.
thing.
Mother, before I took her down to her sister, she was wanting me to get all her Christmas ornaments and decorations out, and I was like, "Mama, why? All
Hmm.
we're going to do is put them up for a week and then take them back down."
Yep, yep,
And not having little children, I'm just
yeah,
not into that.
yeah. Since my brother died, I don't know. It's been 15, 16 years ago, maybe. It's just never been the same. So we very rarely put a tree and stuff up anymore.
Yeah,
Well, they had a really cool place out in the country. It literally looked like a Hallmark Christmas card when it snowed. They had across the creek and up the hill was the horses and the pasture and the trees.
yes,
And we always went there for Christmas for years. And after he died, and his wife sold the place and moved, and it's just never been the same.
yeah. I really don't have big plans for Christmas, but a few days later, I'm gonna go to Alabama and visit my son and his family, and get to spend some time with my grandbaby.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't get to see mine, and I just talked the other day. My oldest grandson's got his learner's permit, and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me, man! Where does the time go?"
Yeah, kids grow up so fast. There was a
They
young
do.
girl at church, and and hadn't been seeing her for a while, and because our youth, we had a real good youth program going before COVID hit, and
Yep.
then our youth kind of went their own ways, and I wasn't seeing this young girl anymore, but just very seldom. And so I went to my nephew's last night, and she was there doing Bible study with his wife. and she's driving now.
I know it, right?
She's be old enough to drive, but
Oh, I can remember sitting in the stands. My oldest boy, he played basketball and football and ran track and stuff. And I can remember sitting in the stands at his last basketball game. I think they made it to regionals thereabouts. And after the game ended, they lost. And I was sitting there thinking, "No, what do I do on Saturdays now? I have no idea." Because for 18 or 15 years or so, I've been going to basketball games every weekend
that's
for football or something, you know. And
that's the way
so
it
I
was
always,
fun when he was playing football. Once he graduated, it's like there's no football. He's
mm-hmm.
been playing football since third grade.
Yep, exactly. Same thing. You know, so I always tell young people that have little kids right now is, man, go to every event you can. Don't miss them. Nothing in life is more important because before you know it, it's done. It's done, and they're out of the house.
But I think my cat is wanting to go out, so
No worries, man.
let me hit this stop cam real quick, and I'm gonna let this cat out.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back up. I finished with my nicotine habit. Hi, my name's Brian. I'm a nicotine addict. Let's see, where did I hit that? Oh, there it is. Christmas is like bar hopping for me. Go to this house, drink a beer, or 6, eat and go. Yep. You know, and Thanksgiving's the same way here after my brother was gone. So we used to go there too, you know. So it's really not a thing anymore. Now, my son and his wife and her mom and stuff like that, they all do it, you know, do it up on Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff. But, you know, mom and them, I can't take them, you know, 100-mile round trip in a day. So we don't really do much, which is okay by me. I mean, Christmas is so lost from what it should be anyway these days. It doesn't really even matter.
Yeah, well, when my son was young and my niece and nephew were young, we would have a birthday cake on Christmas to celebrate Christ.
Yeah,
We'd have our Christmas dinner and then bring out the cake, put a candle on it, sing happy birthday to Jesus. So,
that's
put that
cool.
back in it. But now, as I'm observing the birth of Christ and I'm not doing all the pageantry,
Yeah, yeah,
that's all the commercial pageantry that has
exactly,
nothing to do
exactly.
with what we're celebrating.
Well, I got mad at my church. They were talking about not having service on Sunday, and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And I even said something to the preacher. I said, "Well, I'll go somewhere else for Christmas Eve, you know." And I'm sorry, but if you ain't going, you know, well, people want to be with their families and blah blah blah. I said, "I don't care." There is no way you can't have a service on Sunday.
Right.
You know, Christmas Eve on Sunday, I just about floored. I was thinking, I'll find a new church. I guarantee you, because that's probably the one time you should have service.
If Christmas was on Sunday, you might want to have it, afternoon,
Yeah, yeah,
but
exactly. Where I
and
used to
not
like,
just have an evening service, but have an
yeah,
2 o'clock service or
yeah.
something. That way
But
everybody
I'm
can
like,
have their
I'm like
children with.
you know, what is the sense of celebrating Christmas, especially through your church, if you're not at least going to come in and worship that day? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was flabbergasted. Hang a picture up, Steve. Those walls look bare. He's like me. Mine are the same. I just point it where you can't see them. If you noticed yesterday when I had to go in the bedroom because mom got up and turned the TV up, that my walls don't have nothing on them. I just think that. I mean, that's why I needed a woman around if you want to have the house all prettied up because I just don't do that stuff.
Small water. This is the guest room, and it was my son's room when he was younger, and of course at that time there was stuff all over the walls. But now there's really nothing on the wall since he moved out. Other than the computer and printer and a bed. That's about all in here now.
Hey, dog, I'm with you. I don't know who turned the thermostat down outside, but they need to turn it back up to last week's temperature. It's 50 degrees here last week. I was talking about in one day there was no wind. and I couldn't go fishing, because Dad's been having a bad time.
I
I
gotta go.
walked. I think I went to take the trash out or something because I knew it was nice out from letting the dogs in and out, but I hadn't actually went out and walked out, and I went to take the trash out and I was like, oh my gosh, there ain't no wind blowing. Are you kidding me? I thought maybe I can hire a nurse for the afternoon to come in and hang out, and I go fishing till midnight and come back home. Where I'm almost at the point where I'm going to hire someone, a nurse for a weekend or something, so I can, go do something. Because last time I done anything is when I went fishing with J Dog, and that's been a year or so ago. Dang, Lee Evans 21 down there. Well, what was it? John said it was in the 40s in Florida. I guess that's global warming. I just think it's kind of, if you watch the weather, I think the jet stream pattern has changed where it'll get colder south of Indiana than it used to. It used to be it came, the cold front would come across to Indiana. Well, now it seems like it drops down below the Ohio River more.
Yeah, there's a lot of years where the jet stream does not come this far down, and we don't have winter.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't complain. You know what I mean? I'd be perfectly happy if I never had to see wintertime again.
Well, when you're walking through the woods like that, you still have to worry about the snakes.
Yep. I understand that.
But
for sure.
I have been turkey hunting on mornings where there was frost on the ground and go to cross a creek. There was a cottonmouth sitting in the middle of that little creek.
No kidding.
And I'd have to get a stick, and it was like at the jumping point.
Yeah.
So I'd have to get a stick and run. Of course, he was moving really slow, but I had to got a stick and moved him out of the way. And I almost didn't see him.
See, that's why I live up here. We ain't got those. And I'm not going to say I'm bummed about it, because I go down home to Kentucky. I always have to remind myself if I go walking out in the woods, now, dude, you ain't up home. You better keep your eyes open.
And that's what I really, I like to garden. And when you get into picking butter beans or lima beans and stuff like that, and you're digging through there, you're looking for that copperhead.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to plant a couple extra rows, and I'm going to wait for them to get ripe. And I was watching a video of a commercial guy the other day, and he said he looks for about 10% of them to turn brown. Then he pulls the whole plant and he goes sits down in the shade and picks them all off the plant.
Oh,
I think that's what I'm going to do this year.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Put on my fur line flip flops. Yeah, John, I ain't never feel sorry for you, dude. You got wild hog you can shoot out back. You got fishing within 5 minutes of your house. You get no sympathy from me ever for anything. Lee Evans, my little dog, done the same thing yesterday when it was snowing. He was all fired up to go out and open that door, and he looked out there, and I booed him out the door to let him go out and learn what snow was. You don't worry about snakes in Kentucky, Lee Evans. They got poisonous snakes down there. I know they do. New beaches,
rattlesnakes up there, and cottonmouths, and
yeah, I know they do in Kentucky. They don't seem like once you cross Ohio River a little bit north of there, and you don't have any for some reason. I think about just the other side of the Ohio River is probably about the cutoff as far as the poisonous snakes go. We ain't got really much up here that's dangerous. Boy, it sure looks lighter back there in the picture than it actually is. It ain't that bright back there, really. I know in Kentucky, Grandpa and them used to let the hogs out in the summertime, spring and summer, and they'd run up in the mountains and stuff, and they'd trample most of the snakes around there,
Well, hogs are bad about eating snakes.
Yeah.
And they can get struck over and over and over and not have any effect on them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what Grandpa said. I always said, well, won't the snakes hurt them? He says, no, they just trample them down. Where my great grandpa, he had a hole the end of his pinky right there, and his pinky was bent like that, and it didn't move. And he had been bush hogging, and he stopped to clean some of the weeds and stuff out of the bush hog spinning part. And when he did, he reached down in there, and there was a copperhead, and one fang got him in the knuckle right there. But you know that down back there and down there, they didn't go to the hospital. Heck, it'd take you an hour to get the hospital back in from where they live. And
And if you had to pick a snake to get bit by, a copperhead was what you would want to pick.
yeah, I don't think I want to get bit by none of them. Snakes, I don't do snakes very well, man. I'm telling you, they're snakes and big spiders. I'm okay with spiders that I can step on, but I ain't gonna do no big old spiders that I'm gonna have to smash with something that's gonna make a mess.
Yeah.
Where my one house, I had a basement in, and I'd go down there every fall, you know, just after it got cold, and you know the bugs would be trying to come inside, and I'd set off 2 of them flea bombs and let them go in the basement, and it'd kill all the spiders and stuff that come in the house.
Small water.
Yeah. Run you off the nude beach. You know, John, you talk about go that nude beach when it's cold. I ain't gonna do that. You got shrinkage, man. I can't have that. I've never been to a nude beach. Heck, I can't remember the last time I went skinny dipping. It's been years. Lee Evans had a heck of a fishing trip last week. He went down to Tennessee, and I forget, he told me, I was talking to him the other day. He said something about like 60. They call it like 60 catfish or something like that. I may have the number wrong, but it was a bunch. Spiders, yep. See, I just gave you the idea there, 922. Get one of them flea bombs and set it off. It'll kill all the spiders.
We have so many king snakes around here, you don't see a lot of venomous snakes.
Yeah, John, I know about nudist colonies. There used to be a dirt bike race up in northwest Indiana. And the pits would be in the entrance to this big nudist colony campgrounds thing. And the first section you'd ride was about 12 miles through their property. And you'd ride it at the start of the race, and at the end of the race, you'd ride it again. And the second time you come through, there'd be naked people sitting around in golf carts watching you come through the woods. And I never seen anything that would catch your attention, so to speak. I seen a lot of them, and I was like, man, I didn't really need to see that. And in fact, they had one of the checkpoints. I think it was the checkpoint coming out of the woods where they write your time on your scorecard hanging off the handlebar. It was naked people standing there writing your time down.
And those old hippies.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, old fat hippies
didn't exercise or take care of themselves. That's like back in the mid-90s, my ex-wife and I, we went down to Miami, and we were staying in North Miami Beach, which is the retirement district.
Yeah.
And they go out to the pool there at the hotel, and there's 70, 80-year-olds, and the guys are out there in Speedos, and the women are out there in 2-piece bikinis, and it was not pretty.
Yeah, believe me, that's what I said. The one place, and I raced that race probably 8 or 9 times, I suppose, you know, each year. And I never seen anything that I thought interested me to go there and hang out. I know that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a little modest to be walking around nude anywhere anyhow.
I don't have nothing nobody wants to see.
Yeah, I don't even want to see myself in the mirror, let alone somebody else see me.
No.
But I'm happy with me. That's all that matters. I was never overweight or anything until, you know, probably 8 years ago when, in fact, I came to start taking care of Mom and them about 8 years ago, and I just got clean from having an addiction and stuff. And I went through about 4 years of pretty much just a stagnant life, not doing anything, you know. and that's when it happened. And now it's like, you get that the weight doesn't come on overnight. Well, it ain't coming off overnight, and there ain't no way I can restrict the food I eat because I like to eat. So I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that I'm fat. I wouldn't do me.
Ashley, I'm gonna tell you, I used to have chickens. I had chickens for years and years and years. And I went and got a bucket of food one day, was going out to the pen, which was downhill. As I'm bebopping down that hill, just as my foot is coming down, I realized I was about to step on a snake. So with
Oh,
that was still on the ground, I just hopped in the air and jumped over it. It ended up being a king snake, but when you first lay eyes on it, it don't matter what type it is, it's going to startle you.
I remember going dirt bike riding down southern Indiana one time. I was a little guy, I had a little Yamaha 60. I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, and my brother and them were older than me, so they could always go faster, and they would leave me, and I'd end up riding by myself all the time. But I was coming up a hill one time, and there was a snake going across the hill. I was like, "Oh my god!" I raised my feet up there and popped a wheelie going over him. Come back and told Dad, "I seen a poisonous snake on the trail back there. I ain't never going back there." And then uh, I found a spark plug one time, kind of down in this valley, big grassy valley thing, and I looked over and I thought it was a badger. It was a groundhog, but as a kid, I thought it was, and there was a badger running down the trail towards me, and I'm on the other side of the dirt bike. I'm 10, 11 years old at the most, and just scared to death. And I throwed my helmet at him and took off running, and went. I was probably a mile and a half or so from the campgrounds, and I run all the way back to campgrounds, telling Mom and Dad, "There's a badger chased me all the way up the hill." Hey, Jody, good morning. You did. How's he doing? I have to wait for you to type in and let us know. I think when he was going to have surgery again yesterday, he's got a long row to hoe on that recovery with the broken hip and everything. I wonder if they were plating it or something. I know, I think he said he broke his forearm or something. Well, they can go in and plate that, and it won't be as bad on recovery. I know dirt bike racers, professional racers, whatever, they break the collarbones a lot, and they'll go in and they'll do the surgery and plate that collarbone. And as soon as the incision is healed up enough where it won't open, they're racing again. But then again, that's how they make their money.
Years ago, it could have been 15 years ago.
Oh, they got a hip replacement.
I went to the ER one night. I had strep and had big pus pockets back on my tonsils. And I got there and I'm waiting in the ER, and they bring in a guy who had been racing in a dirt bike rake in an indoor facility.
Yeah.
He had wrecked and hurt his leg, and they wear those hard plastic shin covers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got some.
And he come in holding on to his dad, and his dad helped him down on the chair. They got signed in, and they took that boot off, and the swelling hit the leg and started hurting them. And the first person goes through, and then the next person goes through, and the next person goes through, and the next person goes through. Finally, they get to me, and he's several behind me.
No way.
They called me back, and I told that lady, I said, "Look, there's a guy out there that was in a motorcycle wreck. So y'all done called 5 or 6 people back here." And said, "He's worse off than I am."
Yeah, they probably got a cold or something.
And called him back, get him ahead of me. And the nurse said, "Well, we've just had another room come available. We'll get him next." I didn't know anybody out there was like that.
You're kidding me.
The nurse didn't. See, the nurse, they don't know who's out there waiting.
Yeah, they don't do the stat or whatever.
Who's getting called back,
Yeah.
People at the desk are in charge of who's getting called back. This guy's got
a broken leg seat
from a motorcycle
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that I go to jail that night because I start raising Cain with the people at the desk. You know what I learned with Dad? I don't take him to the hospital no more myself. I call an ambulance. He's 80 some years old. There's no way
Mhm.
he can sit in that waiting room, and they're going to make him do it if you go in the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he gets bad enough that he needs to go to the hospital, I call an ambulance, and that way I know he's going to go straight in.
First two
That's a
times Dad
hint
had
for you
heart.
guys.
First two times Dad had heart problems.
I
I drove
appreciate.
him to the hospital, and after we got back the second time, he was like, the next time I have a heart problem, y'all just call an ambulance. If I have any problems whatsoever, y'all just call me an ambulance. If it's anything beyond going to a doctor because whatever.
Yep.
And we started doing that.
Yep. You have to. Because I mean, well, this last time when Dad went Thursday, it was so crowded in there. There was probably 15 or 20 people in the waiting room. And as you walk through the hallways and going around to where Dad's room was, literally the entire hallway was lined with beds with people in them. I don't know what was going on, but I'd never seen it like that before.
And when he was sick with cancer, and there's a couple times we had to take him to the ER, and the ambulance people can't abandon you, so they would have to sit there with him
Yep.
on the gurney with
Yep.
the oxygen monitoring everything.
That's
They
why.
were just
That's
taking him. He'd been sitting in the ER
yep.
with nothing.
Yep. And you can get away with it with an old person. I mean, you're not going to get away with it with a young person that's just got, if it ain't like an injury or something. But
Right.
for those of you that have elderly parents or something, don't take them yourself. Call an ambulance, and that way they don't sit out in that darn waiting room for hours on end.
If it's a heart issue or a major
Oh yeah,
type of issue, don't
yeah,
take them to the hospital. Call an ambulance,
yep,
because the ambulance people they can't just take you to the hospital, unload you from the gurney,
yep.
about their business. They got to sit there with you until the hospital can treat you. That's the
Good
way it
morning, Chrissy Brown.
is. I don't know if it's that way in every state.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it is because, and that's like I said, I call it, and my mom, it was Mom's idea, and I had never thought of it when all this originally first came around, and she's like, nope, call an ambulance. I said, we're not sitting in that waiting room, and so from now on, I won't. I mean, for myself, I'll go sit there unless it's something bad.
Yeah, if you need to go to the doctor because you're strep throat or something like
Yeah,
that, but if you got insurance, you don't want to go to
exactly.
the ER
Yep.
anyhow.
And that's the problem. The emergency rooms become a doctor's office anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it's paid for, most of it.
Yeah, because they're going to write it off or get a government claim on it in some way if you don't pay your bill. But the doctor's office, they don't get that same.
Yeah, I was amazed, Jody. I was amazed that he was so good spirits when he was in there. What was it, last Friday night or whatever? The night it happened or whatever, that next day I think it was, and he come up and he was. I was like, if that's me in the hospital, you don't want to see me. I'm a grouch. Yeah, actually, if you come in, especially if you're a certain age and you come in with a heart issue, they don't make you wait. They take you in. That's one of the few things that, chest pains are one of the few that they don't make you wait. They bring you in, at least bring you in and check your stats to see what, your
Mm-hmm.
condition is.
If you're in the middle of having a heart attack, they'll get to you. But if they check you and say, okay, he's not in the middle of having a heart attack at this moment, they'll put you somewhere to wait. But
Yeah.
at least you're going to get back there and say, okay, you are or you are not having a heart attack, or you need to go to emergency surgery, or you don't.
A Catfish Dog Dad right now, because he's under the care of the hospice people, all his stuff is free now, his medication and everything. And thank God, because I ain't gonna lie to you, it was killing us. I mean, when they're on a limited income, and my work has been cut more than in half because of the time that I have to devote to caring for them. That it's been tight around here for 3 years now, like major tight. One of them like it was when you first started out as you're young, and you'd select the bill to pay. We're going to pay this one now, and then next check we'll try to pay the other one. So it was a blessing from God that the last time we ended up in the hospital, that doctor that I said was real cool and set me down and explained everything to me, he's the one that hooked us up with the hospice, because I thought it was just an end of life type service. Well, it's not. If you have cancer and you're living in, because his pain doctor, he has a pain pump in his back and it quit being effective. And the pain doctor said the same thing, said, well, you're going to have to get a hold of hospice and get him in hospice care. And it wasn't maybe a day later, we ended up out the hospital. And that's, when they took care of everything at the hospital. I mean, I brought him home, and the hospice intake lady was waiting on us when we got to the house. They're unbelievable. And because he's through hospice now, everything's covered, which is how it should be for all old people, in my opinion, in the richest nation in the world. There's nobody over the age of 62 that should have to pay for anything in this country when it comes to medication or treatment or anything.
Yeah,
I get, I get so mad.
there's no reason you should have a second source of insurance.
Exactly. None at all. I don't want the government in charge of health care, but when you reach retirement age, if you were a productive part of society in the United States of America your whole life, from about the age of 18 to retirement, and you worked and paid taxes all that time, when you get old, you shouldn't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
There's people out there, old people that don't have nobody, and they're worried about either paying the bill or buying food. And I get so frustrated sometimes. Then you got people out there that ain't nothing wrong with them. They could go to work, but they figured out how to play the system.
Yeah. And unless you're in a rural area that doesn't have good internet, like where my son is, they have no internet service.
Huh.
And you can work from home.
Yep.
You know,
I've worked from home since 1999.
you just go to community college, get your few classes in. There's jobs you can get from home making pretty good money.
Oh yeah, my brother was a real estate appraiser. I was a electronics technician in the cable industry, but when I got a divorce and I had custody of my son, I couldn't do that job because I averaged about 300 hours a year overtime. So I would have never been at home with this kid that's just starting freshman year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so my brother hooked me up on this job. And I mean, I worked from home before it was even hardly ever heard of. In fact, when I first started, I had dial up for internet. And you talk about take time to download a report to a lender on dial up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it would take 35 minutes to send the report. And, I understand now why God put me through everything with the divorce and stuff to get me into this position. Because had I not got divorced, I'd still be working in the cable industry in some form.
Mm-hmm.
And then when this came along with mom and them, I don't know what I'd had to put them in old folks home. Yeah, Uncle or John, the best thing I ever done was join the service. When I got out of high school, the factories weren't hiring; they were on the verge of starting to downswing in Indiana, and I didn't make good enough grades to go to college, so I was like, "Man, I'm going to the service." And I never used any of my VA benefits until I started working for myself because I'd never thought about it. I always had good jobs with good insurance. Jody, it is a stress reliever, to be honest with you. It helps a lot. It, you know, I spend a lot of hours here by myself. Mom's in her 80s and she sleeps a lot and she can't see no more. And then dad's sleeping a whole lot now. You know, so I'm here like, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This catfish community saved my life. I would have been on major antidepressants and drugs, and I'd be a zombie because I was just literally, I was losing it. I was at home all the time doing nothing, and it got me out of the house. It got me going fishing. It got me a community of people I can talk to, and it saved my life.
You know, Stan too said the same thing. You know,
Yeah,
he'd been in a wreck, hurt his leg, couldn't get out and do a whole lot. And once he discovered the catfish community, you know, and it got him up and doing stuff.
yeah. I got lucky and just stumbled across the video of oh, what's his name, Mr. Happy. He's on TikTok now, ain't around here no more. The bright rod, anyway. But I just happened to see a picture of him holding this giant catfish, and I clicked on it because I just wanted to see what it was about. And next thing I know, I'm down that rabbit hole. You know, I'm watching all these different people catching these
Mm-hmm.
giant. And I'm like, I got to do that. I mean, that's, you know, it's just, it was kind of like surfing or racing dirt bikes. I see something, it's like, I got to do that, you know, and I find a way to do it. You know what? When it comes to smartphones, my first smartphone was a Samsung, and I've never had anything but the Galaxies. You know what I mean? And I get at least 2 years, if not 3 years, out of one of their phones. I think the one I got now, I don't know what number they're on, but it's got to be three numbers back. You know, I don't have, you know, I've never been an Apple guy. My son and his wife and them, but they're young. I think the Apple thing is the generation after mine. They are the ones that started into, you know, when that came around and got popular.
Well, I had a cat phone from Caterpillar Equipment.
Yep,
I really liked it. It was rugged,
yep. I know
um,
what you're talking about.
had features that other phones didn't have, had a long battery life. Um, but then my son got me onto Apple, and
It's a better product. Don't get me wrong,
it's
especially for
fun.
virus and stuff like that. Security.
Mm-hmm.
Government can't hack them. I mean, you know it's good if if the FBI can't get in your phone without permission. You know it's a good product.
Right.
Hey JG, how are you, buddy? It's good to see you this morning, man.
Good morning, JJ Hill. I gotta go.
Hey Ernie, I didn't see you come in, buddy. It's good to see you, man. How's the knee? Is it bending good? Got to keep them bending, or the therapy people will bend it for you, and that ain't no fun.
I gotta
I
go see.
remember I had my knee replacement, and I was complaining about them trying to get it to bend or whatever. And the surgeon looked at me and said, "I can tell you right now, I know it'll bend past the 90 because I done it in the surgery room after I was done." He said, "So I know it will." And I'm like, "Oh man, okay."
I gotta go see my tractor dealer this morning. Talk to them. I have pretty much decided on what I wanted to get, and I was gonna wait till after the first of the year to get it. But after talking to my uncle, I may go up one more size,
Oh yeah,
and but it's gonna change the wheel, the width,
yeah.
and I gotta go talk to him about swapping the tires around when I'm gardening, because I don't want to have to plant everything too wide.
Oh shoot. Before I moved here, I just bought a new lawnmower for Dad. Actually, a year or so before we moved here, it's a 30-inch cut. So we had a really small yard, and I got 2 acres here, and I literally mow it with a 30-inch blade.
Yeah, it's
It takes a while,
yeah.
but it
I,
also it enables me to have some time to myself. You know what I mean?
right.
Some earbuds in, cruising around, listening to a podcast or something, and
Yeah,
because Dad kept saying when we first moved here, "We need to get one of them zero-turn lawnmowers, get that yard mowed quick." I'm like, "Pop, I don't want to mow it quick. I'm perfectly fine taking 2 days to mow 2 acres of grass."
yeah. I had pretty much decided I was going to get a 35 horsepower tractor that had a 60-inch width on the rear wheels, But if I go up to a 40, it's going to go to 69-inch width.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Can't plant 3-foot centers on your rows with a 69-inch wheel width. So I got to talk to them about swapping the tires. You swap sides with the tires and it moves them in, or you can swap them out, move them wide.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And but then again, if you fill them with liquid ballast, you got to have another tractor to do that with.
Really? I've never even heard of that before. Liquid ballast, huh?
Yeah, they fill them with beet juice, which is 12 pounds a gallon,
Really?
and it won't freeze.
Yeah.
So you fill them with the beet juice, and you're adding 12 pounds per gallon, and you fill that tire
Yeah.
3/4 full. You've put a lot of extra weight in there,
Okay. Yeah. I've
and
never even heard of this.
that keeps them from flip them over.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so got to go discuss that with the tractor people today before I commit, because as soon as I get back from my son's, I'm gonna go ahead and buy one.
J.G. Hill, my dad and my uncle went to work at the golf course mowing grass when they first retired, just so you know they got to play golf for free. Antifreeze and water, and I never even heard of this before. I don't know anything about tractors, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but the water's only 8 pounds per gallon.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying. The beet juice is heavier, which
12
yeah, it
pounds
makes
per
perfect
gallon.
sense. But I never even knew they'd done anything like that. That's interesting. So they pump them full of fluids, huh? I never heard of the such. That's really interesting.
And then you don't have to carry a ballast box on the
Yeah,
back of the tractor.
yeah, and that's I would have never thought of it. That's cool. They come up with this thing, and the guy that developed it actually ended up he had a patent on it, and he ended up getting a contract with the government for military vehicles, but they were called tire balls, and they were little rubber balls, and depending on what air pressure you wanted your dirt bike tire in, you would get a certain, an 8-pound ball of pressure or whatever. I usually run 11 pounds front and back in my tires, and you literally, instead of an inner tube, you had these tire balls inside your tire, and then you put it on the rim, and that way if one of them busts, you're not stuck back in the woods with a flat tire or whatever. And this guy from Kentucky, actually, his son was a racer. He developed them, and then those took off pretty good, and he went to started making them for quads, guys that race quads in the woods. So they were a bigger ball, you know what I mean? And the next thing you know, the government's getting a hold of them, and he's got a contract to make them for, military vehicles where you're not got a tube or a tubeless tire. You could cut the tire, and it's still going to have air pressure because of the tire balls in there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're hard to put on. I mean, you got to have special tire irons and stuff for a dirt bike to put them on, and a bunch of this lube stuff. And then they also have what's called a bib mousse, and it's a foam insert that goes inside the tire, the shape of an inner tube, and you put it in, and you never have a flat. But eventually the foam, compresses so many times that it gets wore out, and you have to change it and put another one in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to have to Google that about the tractor tires and fluids in them.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one of the things that I think's pretty neat that I don't know anything about. So I'm going to Google it and read about it.
Yeah.
Hillbilly, good morning, buddy. I'm glad to have you all come in and hang out. Look at that, 27 freaking people. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. What time is it? I got to make sure I don't miss Dad's medicine again. 7:49. I have to go in there and look. I think. Hold on, I'll be right back. I got to see. I can't remember when I gave him the pain pills last because it's every 4 hours. I know it ain't been that, but I got to know how to plan.
Jody, are you talking about just like a windshield in front of the driver's seat, or putting up a full shield across the boat?
Seven, eight. Okay, he don't get pain pills again until 10, but I'll wake him up at 8:30, I guess, for the morphine thing because I hate waking him up. If I don't, then when he wakes up, he's going to be in pain. You know what I mean? So it's to keep
Right.
him from being in pain when he wakes up. That's what the nurse was explaining to me is you got to stay ahead of the pain. And it cracked me up, especially when he's awake. He's like, well, I don't hurt, so I don't need none. And I'm like, Pop, the reason you don't hurt is because we give it to you ahead of time. And the liquid morphine stuff, he said it tastes horrible. He just squirted under his tongue. And I tried to explain to him, the longer you hold it under your tongue, the more of it goes in your system instantly,
Yeah. Jody, do you have anything that you can bolt it onto?
So how you get a couch on your tractor? Yeah, hillbilly, I know that. Hold it under the tongue from my misspent youth. Yeah, like sideboards on a truck or on my trailer, my little trailer that I haul stuff with, and my motorcycle. And but it's only got rails about that high, but they're open, and I need to put wood around them because if you haul something that sits low, it'll slide out if you don't strap it in right. I got to scroll back up here. I missed something. What is Jody talking about? Putting the windshield on.
Her pontoon boat.
Oh, okay.
Putting wind guards up is what she's wanting to do.
Mm.
When I had Daddy, it didn't matter if we were out 4 or 5 hours in the garden because I had somebody out there with me.
Yeah.
We're talking and just,
Oh yeah, Jody, they do. You have to take stool softeners if you take pain pills. Opiates will clog you up in a heartbeat. And yeah, I give him 3 stool softeners a day. And yeah, anyone who's ever taken opiates, they know that. Yeah, they'll stop you up, and it can cause major issues if you don't know that. Mount some tubes on the side of the boat. Do they make them, Jody, that you can buy?
but, getting out gardening by myself, I'm not going to stay out there all day long. I want to go and do it. I want to put a
Yeah.
cultivator on the back of that tractor and run down the rows and be done with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to till a 50-foot by 100-foot garden with a 15-inch walk behind tiller.
Yeah.
I want to have a nice. I want to put a plow on the back of it, plow it up, come back 2 months later with a tiller and run through it with a tiller and be done with it. You get a 60-inch tiller and you're done. And then when you go out there, it's time to cultivate. It's time to cultivate. You get done with it, and it's totally different out there doing it by yourself versus out there doing it with somebody.
Yeah, you got somebody. I agree 100%. Oh, I was going to plant a garden this year. I used to grow tomatoes all the time, and then in Noblesville, I'd have like tomatoes, green beans, cucumbers, and stuff like that. But I got room now to plant a nice big full garden, but I don't think I'll have the time to do it now to devote the attention to it would need. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, me and Daddy, we would fill a 21 cubic foot freezer plus a 7-foot freezer and still give away.
Yeah.
And then my sister would come over and get food. My nephew would come over and get food. My niece would come over and get food. We'd carry it to my son over in Alabama. And then at the into the next season, we'd still have a little bit left. So we'd empty everything out, carry it down to family, and
Yeah.
defrost the freezer, and it'd be ready for the next harvest.
So you'd freeze a lot of your vegetables and not put them up.
Yeah, we didn't do any canning. We froze.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say because grandma and them always canned,
Yeah,
which is something I need to learn how to do.
we would freeze everything. It'd be Crowder peas, lima beans, green beans, okra,
Yeah.
um, squash. Mostly what we were putting up.
Yeah. Well, the two freezers in the garage here, they belong to my friend that owns the house that hooked us up out here. But one of them's full of pork and one of them's full of beef. He bought a half a beef and half a pig, haven't butchered
Mhm.
up. And if you ever get a chance to buy your meat directly from a farmer, man, there's so much difference in the flavor and stuff that you realize how bad the crap at the store actually is.
Right. Daddy, several times through the years, he would buy a calf from my grandfather.
Yeah.
You know, it hit winning age, and Daddy would carry it to the butcher, and
Yeah,
they
just even the difference in just the hamburger alone, the taste is just, it's mind boggling the difference, Because the first pot of chili I made with it, I was like, you got, Dad's like, that's a really good pot of chili. And I'm like, I know. And I said, and I made it. There's something going on. And it was
it's like
because we
venison.
used that hamburger.
My son likes to kill a lot of deer, fill his freezer up. So when they're doing, whether it's chili, soup, spaghetti, whatever, he's going to use that ground
Yeah.
venison.
Yeah. I've never hunted. I'd like to go deer hunting and learn how to do it just so I would have that skill set should anything ever happen. I mean, I've seen all my friends deer hunted and stuff. I just never did. And I've seen it all done, but seeing it done and actually getting your hands in there and doing it are two different things.
Yeah.
And I would like to do it once just to have the experience.
Yeah. Give me just a minute.
Yeah, you're fine. You can go out and feed the pigs, are you, John? You're gonna have to get a GoPro when it comes time to go out there shooting them pigs, you and your buddy. I want to see. I know you can't show it on YouTube, but you could sure send them to me. Do you hillbilly see? I know when I was a kid, everybody canned, and now you got to know somebody that's country that's still putting stuff up like that. Most people these days are too busy, and I just go down to the store and get it. Well, what happens if the store ain't there sometime? You're in a lot of trouble. You ain't got something put up. Well, that and my grandmother, every one of her and her sisters lived over 100 years old, and they all got one thing in common. All their life growing up until they got old, they grew their own vegetables and canned, and they never ate vegetables from the store. And most of the time, their meat and everything was grown. So it says something. There's something to it. The fact and my grandma, for instance, when she turned 100 years old and she only took 2 pills, I think, one for heartburn in her stomach, and I forget what the other one was for, but it wasn't anything major. Because when we had to call the ambulance one time, they were flabbergasted. We need a list of all her medicine. I handed them the 2 bottles. I said, that's it. That's all she takes. And they're like, you gotta be kidding me. But there's a lot of money in selling Americans pills these days. Wait, what the heck? There we go. What time is it, guys? I have work I gotta do today, so we ain't gonna run much over. Heck, it's 8 already. That sucks. Sure went fast. I'll hang out for a little bit more. So, Joey, you're making a windshield for the council where you drive at so you don't have the wind in your face? Is that what it is? there's still a little bit of snow out there on the ground. No kidding, hillbilly. That's the ticket, and that's why I want to learn to do it for the simple fact that there may come a time when you need that. And right now, I don't have enough food if anything happened that would get us by. Besides the beef out in the fridge, but then what happens if the power goes off? And you'd have to get all that stuff cooked up and some means of keeping it fresh. Morning, Brian. How are you, buddy? Yeah, bad weather. I've been waiting to say that. Fart sniffers. You old fart sniffers. Yeah, we still got a little bit of snow on the deck there. Sun's coming up. Looks pretty today. So you can't see it because the darn glare. That's the weird part about cameras that, like your phone camera, when it's getting dark, it makes it look lighter than it is. And then when the sun started coming up this morning, I looked and it looked real bright there, and then I looked out back and I was like, well, it ain't that bright yet. Fly, eaglets, fly. Oh, goodness gracious, guys.
But you talk about wanting to learn how to deer hunt for, push come to shove situation. You can go out and get you some meat.
Exactly.
You can trap coons.
Yeah.
Now,
we used to trap muskrats and stuff when I was a teenager. A buddy of mine did in the creeks, in the cornfields. Guess who's up? Which that's pretty good because it's 8:00 anyway, and I'm gonna have to shut this down. Someone just got up and cranked the TV up on us. I know you can hear it.
Yeah. All right.
And that's not even loud yet. It ain't turned up yet. It gets much louder during the day. But guys, I appreciate everybody hanging out, and I need to get busy anyway. I got work I got to get done today that I haven't devoted any time to. I got an appraisal that's due today, and I haven't even pulled the comps on it yet, which I got a good idea what I'm going to use anyway because it's a small neighborhood, so the comps got to come from that neighborhood where the house is located. It's kind of like one of them neighborhoods out in the country that they build a neighborhood in the country area.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty easy to comp, but I got to get busy and do it. I got to check my emails because I guarantee the lender has already emailed me and said, is that report going to be in today? Yeah, sort of. But everybody in chat, there's 28 people here, and I sure appreciate every one of you coming in and hanging out, even the ones who don't chat, the creepers, because I creep sometimes. Steve, I sure appreciate you coming up and hanging out with me after the coach left.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me come up and visit.
Oh, not a problem. I enjoyed it. I learned something today, man. I like that.
Yeah. All right. Y'all be good. Have a good day.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow. If you want to come up and hang out, you're more than welcome.
All right.
All right, man. All right, guys. I got to go. I'll see all of you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., especially Gig. He's always there at 5. He's the first one that says hi to me every morning. So everyone in here, I love all of you. The ones that know me real well, I love you even more than that. And I'm going to have to go because family's waking up now. I'll see you tomorrow.